Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Sign into the main god space. Invincibility starts from Demon Slayer. Chapter 1. Empty. This was Li Zan's first feeling after waking up. After shaking his slightly blurry head, Li Zan also looked at everything around him while his head gradually became clear. The place where we are now is a vast square space covered with white bricks. In the center of this space, there is a white ball suspended in midair. At the edge of the space are fine wooden doors, 20 in total. There were 4 people lying beside him, a pretty female student in school uniform, a bespectacled man in a suit, a bloated middle-aged fat man, and a pretty woman in casual clothes. The 4 people are still in coma and show no signs of waking up. I don't know anyone. This is Li Zan's second feeling. Crunch. That was the sound of the wooden door opening. Li Zan turned his gaze to the door that gradually opened. What will come out? Is it a human being? His eyes were cold, and there was no trace of nervousness or fear on his face. A normal person would be nervous when he suddenly appeared in a strange place, but Li Zan was different. He felt unusually calm. Without letting Li Zan wait long, the door slowly opened, and what emerged was not some deformed and weird thing, but a charming woman wearing a black hip-hugging skirt and bright red high heels. Her long black hair is draped around her waist. Her smoky makeup adds a lot of aura, and the half-rimmed glasses hanging on the bridge of her nose add more intellectual meaning. She held a cigarette between her bright red lips and glanced at the few people next to the light ball. When he saw the awake Li Zan, he seemed a little surprised. He raised his eyebrows, exhaled a puff of smoke, and said slowly, "Huh. Woke up so soon. Not bad. New here, looks pretty good." Li Zan has average appearance, harmonious facial features, loose black hair, cold temperament, delicate skin and charming eyes, which add a lot to his charm, and he can be called little handsome. Listening to her teasing words, Li Zan slowly sat up straight and asked the woman who was slowly approaching in front of him, "Where is this place? And who are you? Let's talk about it together when they wake up, otherwise I have to explain it again." Before he knew it, the woman had arrived at Li Zan's side. After the woman approached, Li Zan's hair stood on end, goosebumps fell all over his body, and all his senses were trembling inexplicably. It's not because of the woman's beauty, but for another reason. Li Zan's face was calm, but his heart was turbulent. He knew exactly why. This woman in front of me is so strong. If you are stronger than yourself, you can kill yourself by fighting with your life. Li Zan is not an ordinary person. As an orphan, when he reached adulthood at the age of 18, a so-called sign-in system suddenly appeared in his mind. As long as you contact someone or something that can be signed in, you can sign in something related to it. Things like skills or items. The only restriction is that you can only sign in once a day. Li Zan is now over 20. The 2 years he signed in the real world also allowed him to gain a lot. Introduction to boxing skills obtained by contacting boxing players, introduction to fighting skills obtained by contacting soldiers, animation knowledge understanding obtained by contacting comic shops, intuition obtained by contacting a master of swordsmanship. Signing into the same skill multiple times can upgrade the same skill through multiple stacks. Therefore, skills that can be upgraded such as introduction to boxing, introduction to fighting skills, animation knowledge, have already been superimposed to mastery, but intuition is the exception as skills that cannot rely on multiple sign-ins and superimposed upgrades. The function of intuition is simple and clear, which is to perceive things around you. And the perception that a woman is powerful is exactly how intuition comes into play. If he fights for his life, he will be beaten to death. This is Li Zan's thought caused by the most direct feeling that intuition brings to him. But if you don't risk your life, you can escape after being seriously injured. But the environment we are in now is unclear. If there is a conflict, we can only escape to those rooms. However, the situation in the room is unknown, and it is unclear whether the door can be opened, so there should not and cannot be a conflict with her. This is Li Zan's rational judgment. It seemed as if she felt that the comatose people around her would not wake up so quickly, so the woman also started to chat a little bit. She flicked the cigarette ashes and asked Li Zan, "Soldier? Killer? Ordinary people?" Li Zan replied calmly, "PFF'd." Hearing this answer, the woman couldn't help laughing. "Just kidding, normally the newcomers wake up at the same time, but now that you wake up early, they show no signs of waking up at all, and they don't even feel panic at all. You just tell me, ordinary people, what's going on, brother?" Li Zan frowned. He didn't like strangers calling him that. But the joke was obvious, so I didn't mind it that much. "Instead of joking with me here, why not explain to me what is happening now?" "Brother, you are so boring." The woman shook her head. "If you think it's troublesome to explain again later, just let me explain it to them later." Li Zan proposed a compromise method. He was really curious about the current situation. The woman stretched out her finger and shook it. "That's not okay, brother. If I ask you to explain it, then I'll be at a loss." Loss? Li Zan's thoughts flashed. Judging from her tone before, she seemed to have been in this place for a long time. Can she gain anything by explaining to us newcomers? No matter, she will explain it later when those people wake up. Half an hour later, the unconscious people finally showed signs of waking up. During this period, Li Zan stayed where he was. Even though he was confused and curious about this place, he did not act rashly. Today's sign in opportunity has not been used yet, but the touch floor system did not give a prompt to sign in, which means that the thing in the space where I am cannot be signed in. That woman can sign in, but it requires contact. However, it is not easy for me to contact her directly now, so I can only give up first. The woman in casual clothes woke up first. She was relatively confused when she woke up. After seeing the two people in front of her staring at her eagerly and the unconscious people around her, she reacted and said in a trembling voice, What are you going to do?" "Kidnapping." The female student who woke up later also cried out in horror. "Is this a kidnapping? Please don't hurt me. If you have any requests, you can make them." The man in a suit and glasses who woke up was quite calm. In the end, the fat man with a big belly woke up but didn't panic at all. When he saw the woman, his eyes were like seeing a treasure, and he didn't hide the lust in it at all. He shouted, "Tisk, tisk, tisk, this woman is so beautiful. Compared to come on, the ones in the store before were just garbage." Having a clear view of the reactions of the newcomers, the woman raised the corners of her mouth slightly and said to Li Zan, "These newcomers don't look as good as my younger brother at all." Li Zan remained silent and did not respond. The woman clapped her hands to attract everyone's attention. Then she pulled out a pistol from somewhere and fired a shot in the direction of the fat man very casually. "Ah!" The fat man let out a shrill scream. The bullet carried huge kinetic energy and rotated through his thigh, destroying the muscle tissue and exploding into a bright red flower of blood. "I really hate this kind of naked gaze." The woman muttered this sentence while holding a cigarette in her mouth, while the pistol was still turning in her hand. The woman's expression was as relaxed as if she had not fired the shot. "Ah!" The female student had obviously never seen such a scene, and screams of horror continued to come out of her mouth. The woman in casual clothes covered her mouth and looked at the woman with horror on her face. The man in suit and glasses had a slightly calm face because of the woman's face. As a result of this move, he became a little pale, and cold sweat continued to seep from his forehead. Li Zan was also a little surprised and looked at the woman with a slightly surprised look. Where did she get her pistol? Her speed just now couldn't be said to be very fast, and she could see it clearly, but the pistol seemed to appear out of thin air, and she obviously didn't look for it anywhere on her body. Space artifact. Li Zan suddenly remembered the setting in the cultivation novel he had read before, which was an object with storage space. You can put things in and take them out at any time. Of course, it may also be some kind of ability. Li Zan's thoughts are very divergent, and he doesn't feel that there is anything strange about what he is thinking. After all, his original worldview was broken as early as the year when the system was activated at the age of 18, so he doesn't understand anything strange that appears now acceptable. The woman noticed Li Zan's unexpected gaze. She still had a certain liking for this unusual newcomer, so she raised the hand holding the gun and explained, "Space ring." Only then did Li Zan notice a black ring on her finger. "Okay, stop screaming." The woman fired a shot upward to signal the newcomers, who were still screaming and wailing in pain, to quiet down. The effect was obvious. Those who had made harsh noises just now were now silent, not daring to speak out, and only dared to stare at her with fearful eyes, just like delicate sheep looking at gray wolves. "Hello newcomers, I am Miaoyi, a member of the 4th team of Zhongzhou. And Miaoyi seemed to find it a bit troublesome to speak like this, so she stubbed out the cigarette in her mouth and threw it away casually. Team 4 of Zhongzhou, Li Zan asked, noticing something concerning in his words. Yes, the place we are in now is a place called the Lord God Space. The Lord God, that is, the big ball of light next to you, will select people from the real world to enter the Lord God Space and transmit them to each world to complete it. The assigned tasks will be divided into many areas according to the selected place. Our area is in Zhongzhou, so we will be divided into Zhongzhou teams. Quote, you will be assigned to our team, Zhongzhou Team 4. You are already very lucky to have joined our gentle team. Gentleness. The man with glasses looked at the fat man who had fallen into a coma again due to blood loss and pain, and couldn't help cursing in his heart. What kind of gentleness? There is no doubt that the gentleness I mentioned is not a joke. Some teams don't care whether the newcomers live or die, and let the newcomers be cannon fodder or piglets. And Miaoyi said with a chuckle, our team is out of humanitarianism, or I will pay a little attention to the newcomers. I am sent to take care of you newcomers. Taking care of him. Li Zan also looked at the fat man. That person is about to get cold. Of course, it's also to add new blood. If there are newcomers with good qualifications, we will still absorb them as new official members of our team. When saying this, and Miaoyi glanced at Li Zan vaguely. Now, I want you to introduce yourselves first. It's best to tell me what your strengths and advantages are, so that I can pay more attention to you when doing tasks based on whether you will be useful in the future. This will be very beneficial to you. Oh, after all, the task is not that simple. If you are not careful, you will die. There was an inexplicable teasing tone in Miaoyi's tone. Will you die? Several newcomers became even more uneasy when they heard the news. And Miaoyi first pointed her finger at Li Zan, you come first. Li Zan didn't have any objection to Miaoyi's behavior of criticizing himself first. Anyway, he had to introduce himself. After all, he might have to cooperate with these people in the future. Li Zan didn't want to stand up and say, he just sat on the ground and said calmly, my name is Li Zan. I have learned some fighting skills. Please give me some advice. He has never learned fighting skills, but the sign-in system allows him to obtain the skill of combat skill mastery, so there is no problem in saying so. The young and pretty female student said tremblingly, my name is Lin Danwei. I am a student. I can dance. After their introductions were completed, Li Zan also roughly understood the situation of the other newcomers. The female student's name is Lin Danwei. She is a student and can dance. The man with glasses is named Huang Ming. He is an accountant and is good at calculations. The casual girl named Hu Yan is a writer and good at making up stories. The fat man is in a coma and therefore has no idea what he looks like. But judging from his previous performance, he shouldn't be a capable person. After Miaoyi's previous explanation, Li Zan also understood that the situation he would face next would not be peaceful and smooth. The tasks assigned by the Lord God must be full of dangers, so Li Zan was also considering cooperating with others. Possibly, and compared to old people like Miaoyi who have already formed a circle, Li Zan is more willing to be with newcomers because this way he will not be restricted. But, none of them are useful yet. Li Zan held his chin with his arm, thinking in his mind. Okay, except for that Li Zan who is somewhat useful, everyone else is useless. Compared to Li Zan's inner curse, Miaoyi said it directly. Lin Danwei, Huang Ming, and Hu Yan were angry when they heard this, but they dared not speak out in anger at this woman who shot and wounded people whenever they disagreed. Next, I will tell you some things about the Lord God Space in detail. You should listen carefully, Miaoyi reminded. Wait a minute. When Miaoyi was about to continue speaking, Li Zan spoke. He pointed at the fat man who was no longer bleeding and said, is he just leaving it like this? Miaoyi chuckled and said, it's okay, the Lord God won't let him die. Oh, Miaoyi said a lot and was quite detailed. Li Zan probably summarized it in his mind. The main God space will put the selected reincarnators into worlds to complete the main tasks assigned by the main God. After completing the tasks, the main God will reward the reincarnators with reincarnation points and plot rewards. If the main tasks are not completed, a certain amount of reincarnation points and plot rewards will be deducted. if the reincarnation point is negative after return, it will be directly erased. Reincarnators can use these reincarnation points and plot rewards to strengthen their physical fitness or exchange bloodline skill items at the main god. Moreover, every world has plot rules. Under normal circumstances, it will develop in a certain order. If the reincarnator tries to influence the plot development rules, it will trigger side tasks. These side tasks will be different according to the plot impact of the reincarnation change. Rewards. New reincarnators have an initial 500 reincarnation points. This is why some senior members of the team will treat newcomers as pigs. They will torture the newcomers. Anyway, the Lord God will hang on the newcomers' lives and will not let the newcomers die. Although there will be punishment for killing newcomers, seniors rely on information gaps and physical torture to force newcomers to submit. Reincarnation points cannot be forced to be transferred by others, so seniors will ask newcomers to redeem some things that seniors want, even if the things that can be exchanged for 500 reincarnation points are very rare and of little use to seniors. Next, the seniors will have two choices. The first is to use other plot characters to immediately kill the newcomers after entering the world of reincarnation to avoid future troubles. After all, there are examples of people who bury their resentment and fight back after being treated as meat pigs. The second option is to develop slowly and sustainably, constantly treating newcomers as pigs, and then killing them before they develop to a certain level. After listening to Miaoyi's words, several newcomers understood what she meant by gentleness before. In comparison, it was indeed much gentler. The reason why Li Zan was not explained first and then explained was that there was a certain guidance reward for explaining everything about the Lord God space to newcomers. As for the amount of the reward, there is no details. Regarding the issue that newcomers are most concerned about, returning to the real world, and Miaoyi gave a very surprising response. After waiting for the first mission, you can leave the main god space at will and return within the day when the mission starts. Just go to space. This news really made several newcomers ecstatic. Finally, and Miaoyi told the newcomers, the 20 doors correspond to the private spaces of the 20 team members. You cannot enter without others' permission. The ones you can't open belong to others. If you have finished the exchange, go find a just rest in an unoccupied room and meet here at 12 noon in 2 days. Then Miaoyi left directly regardless of the newcomers' desire to continue asking. The depressing and fearful devil is gone, and Lin Danwei and the others feel more relaxed. That woman is so scary. Lin Danwei patted her chest with palpitations. She was still a student and had never seen such a scene. Sigh, I don't know why I came to a place like this and faced the danger of dying at any time while doing tasks. Hu Yan said with a sad face. Huang Ming's fearful mood has gradually calmed down with the passage of time. Faced with the unchangeable facts, he did not blame anyone, but said with a thankful expression, I should say I am very lucky. After all, if I had not entered this otherwise I would have been hit by a car. Ha, you too, Hu Yan exclaimed. You were almost hit by a car too. That's not, Hu Yan said with a frightened look. I went to an abandoned mental hospital to find inspiration, and I slipped and fell from the building. Ms. Hu, Mr. Huang. Lin Danwei said immediately, I was in a similar situation. I was in a car and got into a car accident. At this time, Li Zan, who was sitting quietly listening to their conversation, was stunned. Did he almost die in an accident before being transported to the main god space? But I didn't experience any accidents. I was still eating before the message came here. Ah, did we all come here after experiencing accidents? Lin Danwei was a little surprised. As they talked, several people turned their attention to Li Zan, who had been silent and did not join the conversation, and seemed to be asking about his situation. Me too, Li Zan lied casually. However, this also left a thought in Li Zan's mind. He seemed to be a little different from these reincarnators. Sure enough, Lin Danwei clapped her hands and showed a happy smile, so it is the Lord God who saved our lives. Then, the girl gave a small salute to the big ball of light, as if to thank it for saving her life. Are you so optimistic? Li Zan looked at this girl, a little speechless. You were crying just now, but after a while you were smiling, forgetting that the Lord God will throw you on a mission next. Lin Danwei and others seemed to think that the newcomers should be closer to each other, so they kept chatting. Several of the topics were directed towards Li Zan, but Li Zan's many cold answers also made them understand. Li Zan didn't really want to get close to them. So they didn't ask for trouble anymore. Silently walking to the light ball, Li Zan tried to touch the light ball, but his hand penetrated it. There is no prompt from the system that you can sign in. Is there no entity? Just an illusory image medium. Touching the light ball is not a way to communicate with the Lord God. According to Miaoyi, as long as you are in the Lord God's space, with the thought of communicating with the Lord God, you can silently recite, the Lord God. Trying to touch the light ball was just because Li Zan wanted to see if he could sign in. Since I can't sign in, Lord God, Li Zan recited it silently with the thought of communicating with the Lord God. Suddenly, an illusory interface appeared in front of me, with a dazzling array of items on it. Bloodline, offensive skills, defensive skills, spiritual skills, medical items, arms, armor, appliance, ... When you click on an item, there are many detailed items to choose from, and there are even so-called popular exchanges. Reincarnators can also recite silently in their hearts and let the Lord God select things that meet their requirements. The pitiful 500 reincarnation points owned by Li Zan, a newcomer, are marked in the upper left corner of the interface. Li Zan first clicked on Popular Exchange. No other ideas, just wanted to take a look. Viscount Vampire Bloodline. Redemption Requirements. 2000 Reincarnation Points. D-Level Plot Reward X1. Note: low-level bloodline has certain side effects. Baizhong Bloodline. Redemption Requirements. 2,500 Reincarnation Points. D-Level Plot Reward X1. Note: low-level bloodline has certain side effects. Single Magatama Sharingan. Redemption Requirements. 4,000 Reincarnation Points. D-Level Plot Reward X1. Space Accessories 1 meter 3. Accessory Type Optional. 1,000 Reincarnation Points can be upgraded. ... You can click on each product to read the detailed description, but Li Zan was just curious and didn't have reincarnation points to redeem these, so there was no need to read in too much detail. What should I exchange for these 500 points? Li Zan thought. According to Miaoyi's recommended exchange items for newcomers, the pistol is the best choice. Because of things like pistols, even if a veteran who has experienced several worlds accidentally takes such a blow to an important part, he will be disabled even if he does not die. Encountering some dangers in the plot world can also become an important countermeasure. It is the only way for newcomers to defeat the strong in the early stage. In some worlds where guns do not exist, it can also play unexpected roles. Moreover, the price of the pistol is within the purchasing range of newcomers. The pistol body comes with some bullets that only cost 400 reincarnation points, leaving 100 reincarnation points left to buy some medicines. However, if you want to buy a pistol, it is of course best to match it with the skill, Introduction to Pistol Use. After all, modern people have no experience in using pistols, but if a newcomer buys a pistol, he will not have extra reincarnation points to redeem this 300 reincarnation value. Points for skills. Therefore, if you want to exchange a pistol, you have to practice hard in the past 2 days. Otherwise, how can you expect a person who has never touched a pistol to get started immediately? If you don't want to be a sunset red shooter, you have to study hard behind closed doors. You can generate consumables such as bullets for free in your own room, so you don't have to worry about running out of bullets, just don't think about bringing them out, and you can also check the internet and watch tutorials to learn in the room. Without thinking much, Li Zan exchanged it for an ordinary pistol. A pistol and some bullets suddenly appeared in front of Li Zan out of thin air, floating in the air waiting for Li Zan to get it. The pistol is a model that Li Zan has never seen before. It is probably relatively unpopular, but the Lord God is thoughtful enough to include an instruction manual. Li Zan took the pistol and bullets and weighed them. They were quite heavy. After 2 years of signing in the real world, Li Zan took advantage of a soldier and improved his fighting skills from basic to proficient. Of course, he had signed other skills of this soldier. Proficient in using pistols. This is also one of the results of gathering wool. Although the model of this pistol is unknown, it is roughly similar to a common pistol. For Li Zan, who has the skill, proficiency in handgun use, it is not difficult to get started. And why only master this important skill until you are proficient? It was because when he went to the back, Li Zan found that Brother Jun looked at him a little strangely. After all, Li Zan went to encounter him every day, and when he met him, he had to touch him, so as not to be treated as a weirdo and kept at a distance. After that, Li Zan exchanged the remaining 100 reincarnation points for cheaper healing supplies. Lin Danwei, Huang Ming, and Hu Yan had actually been paying attention to the situation on Li Zan's side. They were surprised to see something appear out of thin air in front of him. They stopped chatting and hurriedly communicated with the Lord God in their minds. Li Zan took the things and glanced at them. He didn't pay much attention and just wanted to find a room to rest. Before leaving, Li Zan also paid attention to the condition of the fat man and found that he was no longer bleeding. Although there were still blood stains on the ground and the man was still in a coma, his steady breathing and rosy face also proved that this guy was now in a coma. Still alive and well. It's none of my business either. Li Zan found a room at random, and when he held the door handle, a mechanical voice appeared in his mind. Please set the appearance of the room. This is the voice of the Lord God. Your own sign-in system cannot speak. In front of Li Zan, room styles with different styles appeared. You can also choose to customize the room size. Li Zan tried to ask about the room size. The maximum room size can be the size of 2 football fields. If you want a larger space, you need to pay for reincarnation. Points and plots are rewarded. A Chinese-style family-style room was set up, and a large open space was created, separated by a door, so that there was no need to make many changes when it was necessary to do physical training and the like. In this way, 2 days passed. Within 2 days, Li Zan tried his best to become familiar with the functions of the room and continued to surf the internet, and got an important piece of information. The reality reflected by this network is obviously not the reality where I am. There are some completely unheard of provinces like Xinmin province in Zhongzhou appearing on the internet, and celebrities and major events are also very different from their original world. Li Zan could probably guess that these newcomers and veterans all came from the real world corresponding to the main god space, but he came from another world. The different ways of coming to the main god space may be because of this. So Li Zan is a little curious. After the first mission, which real world will he return to? And are people like me who came from another world an exception or something else? Apart from doing this, Li Zan did nothing else. I didn't practice any marksmanship, I just became a little familiar with the operation of the pistol. As a system sign-in skill, proficiency in using pistols is deeply engraved on the body and mind. Even practicing it for 2 days is of no use, so I just let it go. Several other newcomers have been working very hard these days, working hard to practice using pistols, and finally reach the point where they can barely hit one shot from 3 shots within 10 meters, and can shoot one shot within 5 meters without deflecting too much. When the clock time in the room approached 12 o'clock, Li Zan was ready. He was wearing black short-sleeved shirts and white loose-fitting sweatpants, with a small bag slung over his shoulder, which contained a pistol and medical supplies. However, from his simple appearance, he looked as if he was going for an outing. Opening the door, Li Zan saw that there were significantly more people than there were 2 days ago. In addition to the few people he had seen before, there were 4 guys he had never seen before. It should be the remaining seniors. 3 men and 1 woman. The man has strong muscles and a strong and steady temperament. The man was skinny and gaunt, as if he was terminally ill. The young man has clear features and handsome eyes, as handsome as a scholar. The girl is short in stature and has the shape of a small jasper. In other words, there are a total of 5 official members of the Zhongzhou 4 team plus non-Miaoyi. These 5 people really have their own characteristics. Li Zan thought as he stepped towards them. When Li Zan approached, the muscular man glanced at Li Zan with an indifferent tone. Li Zan, right. I hope you can make good use of the plot world this time. If you are good at it, I may let you and Li Zan be together in the future. We act together. Maybe we will be together in the future. Li Zan asked, does that mean this mission will be separated? The petite girl jumped out and said, this mission will be simpler because of the addition of you newcomers, so we will not act with you. We seniors will trigger some other side missions. Yes, the muscular man said in a deep voice, you are too weak and will drag us down. But An Miaoyi will take you. The thin man said. An Miaoyi laughed after hearing this, holding a cigarette in her mouth and showing a look of disdain. Haha, I won't take too much care of you newcomers, just take care of yourself. What if I am not recruited into your team due to lack of ability? Li Zan continued to ask. Our team does not collect garbage. The young man said indifferently. Even if the plot world survives this time, we will no longer pay attention to the newcomers who are inadequate, and will let them fend for themselves in the future. Hearing this, the faces of the newcomers except Li Zan changed. The fat man from before was also among the newcomers. After he woke up, Lin Danwei and others also explained the current situation to him, so he is very honest now. Then, these unfamiliar senior people introduced themselves politely. The muscular man is the captain of the 4th team in Zhongzhou, named Wu Qing. The thin man's name is Lu Li. The young man's name is Wang Luji. The petite girl's name is Luo Yaya. Like in Miaoyi, these people only gave their names and did not share any other personal information. Each team member should have their own position in the team, but it was just about letting the newcomers know that Wu Qing was the captain. Maybe they thought it was useless to talk about it. Li Zan was quite curious about what kind of bloodline skills these seniors had exchanged. After all, each of these people could make their senses feel powerful from the inside out. But if you don't want to speak, don't speak. It doesn't mean you have to listen. Listen, Wu Qing said with a serious face. From the captain's authority, we can know that the plot world we are going to this time is called Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Li Zan thought to himself. In other words, the plot world I went to this time was the animation world. Li Zan can be said to know the famous anime, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, very well. Although he is not a person who particularly likes to watch anime, the animation knowledge proficiency he signed has allowed him to remember most of the anime clearly. It can be known from the purchased information. Do you want to buy this kind of information? Li Zan was a little confused, but then he remembered that the real world they lived in was completely different from his own, so he was relieved that they had never heard of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. There is a special creature called Ghost in this world. This creature can eat people and has a strong recovery ability. Only by using an instrument called the Nichiren sword can we kill the ghost, or let the ghost bask in the sun, can also kill ghosts, and in order to resist this kind of creature, the people created an organization called the Demon Slayer Corps. I think the plot line should unfold in the Demon Slayer Corps. The long discussion was all about what Li Zan knew. The newcomers except Li Zan all brought a large backpack, which contained some exchanged gold bars, food, lighters and other items, and they were fully prepared. The seniors didn't bring anything with them, but everyone knew that seniors basically had space accessories. Therefore, it is impossible to have space accessories. Li Zan, who only carried a small satchel, stood out from the crowd. The small satchel obviously could not carry much. Under everyone's strange gazes, Li Zan's expression remained unchanged and calm. Set off. Captain Wu Qing ordered. Lord God, teleport. 10 rays of white light fell from above as he finished speaking, covering all 10 reincarnations. Amazing feeling. Li Zan felt very strange, his figure was blurring, and a feeling like sublimation rose from his heart. If you stay under the white light all the time, you may feel like you have become an immortal. This feeling didn't last long, and the next moment, the scene suddenly changed. On the Lois Road, summer cicadas chirp, huts are arranged vertically and horizontally, and passers-by wear peasant clothes and kimonos. 10 people suddenly appeared on the Lois Road. Pedestrians on the road seemed not to see them, as if they were ignoring them. What's going on? A newcomer asked. The petite senior female reincarnation woman Luo Yaya seems to be quite lively and enthusiastic towards newcomers. She responds positively to questions. This is the Lord God integrating us into this world. The next moment, a piece of information suddenly appeared in the minds of 10 people. Main mission: kill a ghost and join the Demon Slayer Corps. Reward: 1000 reincarnation points. You can return after completing the main mission. Time limit: 5 years. Side missions: 1 evil ghost hunting. Kill as many ghosts as possible. The final reward depends on the ghost killing contribution. 2. Not opened. After reading the task, the seniors relaxed and the newcomers cheered. In the eyes of experienced people, although ghosts are said to have strong recovery abilities, with their abilities, even if they cannot obtain a special weapon like the Nichiren sword, they can still forcefully take a ghost to the sun and let it die. In the eyes of newcomers, no matter how strong the ghost's recovery ability is, can it withstand the power of a gun. It is impossible to recover instantly after being shot through the head. If you can't kill it, you can make it incapacitated. Wait until the sun comes out and then take it out to bask in the sun, all right. Li Zan was not so relaxed. He knew that it was no joke that ghosts could only be killed by the sun blade and sunshine. A ghost could still curse people if its head was cut off. Moreover, the speed and strength of ghosts are not comparable to ordinary people. Even Tanjiro, the protagonist of Destiny, would have died long ago without the help of his sister when he first encountered ghosts. There are also some troublesome characters on the ghost side, such as 12 Kazuki. 12 Kazuki are 12 incredibly powerful ghosts. He is the direct subordinate of the first ghost, Kibutsuji, the creator of ghosts. He is divided into upper string and lower string. The two have different strengths and are separated by a huge gap. If you encounter the lower string, the experienced person may still be able to beat it. If you accidentally encounter the upper string, the experienced person may have to explain. The difference in combat power between the upper string and the lower string is not even a tiny bit. However, judging from the ratio of the number of ordinary ghosts and the scarcity of the number of 12 Kazuki, if you don't deliberately contact them or are very lucky, you don't have to face these guys to complete the main mission. Even the trained protagonist Tanjiro, combined with his sister and the sudden explosion of the two, failed to kill a single ghost. In the end, the Demon Slayer corpse water column was needed to kill it. The strength of 12 Kazuki is evident. Are you in a remote area? Captain Wu Qing called several senior people together and discussed for a while. The last few senior people said some farewells and instructions to Miaoyi, and then walked in a certain direction. The background of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, is in the Taisho period of Japan. During this period, except for a few metropolitan areas, most areas were in a relatively backward rural period. So everyone is confused about where the location is now. The seniors did not intend to act together with the newcomers, so they planned to inquire about some news about the metropolis and head towards the metropolis. After all, compared to backward towns, information circulated better in places like Dadu. They concluded that organizations like the Demon Slayer Corps were more likely to be in Dadu. As for why they are looking for the Demon Slayer Corps, it is because the purpose of these veterans is to join the Demon Slayer Corps. The possibility of triggering a side plot within the Demon Slayer Corps, an organization that fights ghosts, is obviously greater. Let's go, and Miaoyi said to the newcomers. First find a place like a hotel, and then ask for any news about cannibals. As time goes by, reincarnations gradually connect to the world of Demon Slayer. Perhaps because of the Lord God, the sudden appearance of the people did not cause panic among passers-by, but after a while, the clothing styles of several people that were completely different from the current time still aroused strange looks from passers-by. Several newcomers responded and followed Miaoyi. The process of finding a hotel was not difficult. After walking a few dozen meters, we saw a hotel called Zailu, which saved us the effort of asking passers-by. This is a small hotel run by a couple, which is for passers-by. It is neither luxurious nor shabby. Originally, accommodation required some proof of identity, but well, in a small village like this, as long as you have money, identity is not a problem. Do reincarnators have money? Of course not. The world of the plot is full of strange things. The currency in one world may not be usable in another world. Who would bring such a thing with currency? But I still have some hard currency like gold. Several people were dressed strangely, which naturally aroused the shopkeeper's suspicion. When the shopkeeper asked about his identity, Miaoyi threw 2 gold bars over, dispelling all the shopkeeper's doubts, and then took the room key from the shopkeeper with a smile. Put away the unnecessary things first. This mission will take a long time. We will wait until we get the news before taking action. Huyan and others were just ordinary people before, and even among ordinary people they were relatively weak. After all, the 3 of them basically sat in chairs with the air conditioner blowing on all day long. It's a big burden for them to carry such a big bag, and because they are newcomers, they inevitably bring some unnecessary things, unlike Li Zan who is lightweight. If you carry a big bag on your back, you will collapse from exhaustion before the ghost can be killed. So several people shared the room keys and went to find their own rooms. One night, nothing happened. The time given for the main task is too long, and the ample time makes the reincarnations not so anxious. Stay one night to relax your mind. This can be regarded as the gentleness and meow gives to the newlyweds. From reality to the plot world, from peaceful and advanced times to backward and dangerous places, newcomers will inevitably feel confused and panic in their hearts. After all, these people are just ordinary people, and they don't have the so-called big heart and boldness. The fragrance is hidden in the fresh air, and the cock crows in the morning. Although the rooster crowed, Lizon still lay paralyzed for a while before getting up. I have to say that the environment in the countryside is really good in this era. The air is fresh, the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. However, the temperature seemed to be much lower than yesterday, and it was so cold that Lizon shivered. He stretched and peered through the window. Did it snow last night? He went to bed very early last night and slept like a dead pig without paying any attention to the scene outside. At this moment, I saw that the outside world was completely white. White snow piled up on roads and houses, and some homeowners were clearing the snow in front of their doors. Tranquility and peace are evident in this rural snowscape. Want to buy charcoal? An energetic teenage voice came from the street. Lizon rubbed his sleepy eyes and looked closely. A young man with red hair, carrying a large bamboo basket full of black charcoal, and wearing a green and black checkered coat was selling his charcoal to the house owner who was clearing the snow with a smile on his face. We just ran out of charcoal, give me some, Tanjiro. The owner of the house and the boy have known each other for a long time, and their words are full of intimacy. Tanjiro. Lizon rested his elbow on the window edge and propped his chin on his palm, thinking. Memories of the anime, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, kept popping up in his mind. This is the plot of the first episode, the scene where the protagonist Tanjiro goes down the mountain to sell charcoal. In other words, what follows is a plot in which his relatives encounter an accident when they meet Wuhan, and only one sister, Yadozi, who turns into a ghost due to Wuhan's bad taste, survives. Looking at Tanjiro, who was now helping people in the village, Lizon couldn't help but have a little sympathy in his eyes. Tanjiro is a gentle child. However, in the world of Demon Slayer, God will not give him a good result because of his gentleness. He has a gentle personality and will sympathize with ghosts with tragic pasts, but he will not let go of ghosts that have killed many people. He is gentle but sensible. He is also very strong. Even if his relatives are killed, he can still bear everything tenaciously and do his best for the life of his last relative, his sister. This kid is quite lovable. A sentence slowly came out from Lizon's mouth. But I can't save him. In his mind, Lizon added another sentence. Yes, Lizon has nothing to do. Now, his ability and strength can only be regarded as the top level of ordinary people. It is still feasible to fight an ordinary ghost. But facing no misfortune, seeking death, the most Lizon can do now is let Tanjiro go back to the mountain and escape with his family. But when will Wume appear? Where is he? Lizon didn't know this, and it wasn't mentioned at all in the anime. So it's completely unclear whether letting Tanjiro go back now will save him or harm himself. Not to mention that she was a complete stranger to him, so he might not listen to her, and she couldn't explain why she knew so much. Let's just follow the plot. His slightly fluctuating heart seemed to calm down again because of this decision. There is no such thing as regret when deciding something. Lizon went downstairs to find his boss and asked him to help him buy a set of warmer clothes. For the sake of the gold bars, the boss immediately bought a few sets of warm clothes for the god of wealth and sent them over. Putting on warm clothes, making a cup of coffee brought from the main god space, looking at the beautiful scenery outside the window and Tanjiro's active figure, although he felt that this scene was wonderful, Lizon still felt heavy in his heart. I won't die. Lizon is not afraid of death, he takes death very lightly. Even though he was in the main god space and in a strange world, Lizon never panicked. Because he felt that it was impossible for him to die. He has a check-in system, and has an unpredictable view of the plot world compared to other reincarnations. No matter what, it is an incomparable advantage. Standing above all reincarnations, This is something Li Zan feels will come true sooner or later. As long as you don't commit suicide and gain strength, it's a very simple matter. Therefore, he does not crave power. But the more I looked at the young man outside the window, the more powerless I felt. Li Zan didn't feel that he had to save Tanjiro's relatives. He was not that lofty and kind in his heart. He will regret the subsequent death of Tanjiro's relatives, but will not feel sad about it. It's just that there is no chance to choose something with willingness, which makes Li Zan feel quite unhappy. Therefore, he desires power again. Then try a little harder. Li Zan straightened up slightly. Originally, I planned to be more salty, but I really hate this feeling. I took a sip of coffee and said to myself lazily, for the sake of not making an example next time. The setting sun. Snowflakes fall gently like fine sand and goose feathers. Tanjiro is ready to go home after selling the charcoal. Li Zan, who had been looking at the windowsill for a long time, finally set off. He handed a letter he wrote to his boss and asked the boss to pass it on to his companions. The words written in it showed his intention to leave and act alone, so that they did not need to pay attention to it. In fact, other reincarnations came to ask Li Zan to go out to explore the information at noon today, but he refused because the cold hit him yesterday. Others did not pay much attention to Li Zan, and only a few people went out to explore the information. The reason for not joining them is simple. Li Zan is not anxious to know the news about ghosts. When you meet Tanjiro, there is no need to ask for information that is not necessarily correct. As long as you follow Tanjiro, you will definitely have a chance to kill ghosts. The ghosts Tanjiro encountered in the early stages were basically miscellaneous fish ghosts, of course, compared to other strong ghosts. Just like the ghost Tanjiro encountered in the temple in the early days, even if Li Zan's physical fitness was at the top of ordinary people and his fighting skills were strong, he would still be in danger when facing that ghost head-on. However, there are still opportunities for last hits. Once Tanjiro is almost done, you can pick up the holes yourself. Moreover, the group of newcomers Samsara are obviously of little use as teammates, and Miaoyi, as a senior, obviously will not take too much care of the newcomers. After all, she is selecting full-time team members with potential, not being a nanny. What's more, Li Zan doesn't want to act with Miaoyi. She is stronger than him and is still a senior person, so she will definitely limit herself, but Li Zan doesn't want to be restricted. It would be more troublesome to talk to them in person, so Li Zan stopped saying hello. To be honest, Li Zan only has the feeling of meeting the people in the fourth team of Zhongzhou by chance. He doesn't have any special friendship, and he has no worries about making the choice to leave. Walking out of the hotel, he gradually approached Tanjiro, who was about to go back. As if feeling someone behind him was actively approaching him, Tanjiro turned around. Seeing this stranger whom he had never seen in the town before, Tanjiro smiled. "Sir, do you want to buy charcoal? But today's charcoal has been sold out, I will come tomorrow too." "Ah, no." Li Zan shook his head. "I am a traveler, and my belongings were stolen by thieves." Tanjiro suddenly realized, looked anxious, and said, "Sir, I have a very good nose and can help you recover your property." After speaking, Tanjiro shrugged his nose. He was smelling Li Zan's body. Tanjiro's sense of smell is very sensitive, surprisingly sensitive, and he can even smell a person's emotions and personality, things that obviously have nothing to do with smell. Finding lost property or something like that is a piece of cake for Tanjiro. After smelling it, Tanjiro couldn't help but smell the character of the person in front of him. He is a good person, but what are these mixed things? Forehead. The fact that this child was so interested in a casual lie actually made Li Zan feel a little uncomfortable. "I can't find it. It was stolen on my way to this town." Sure enough, telling a lie requires many lies, and the smell of lies was not detected. Maybe it was because Tanjiro didn't think about it. "Is that so?" Tanjiro said regretfully. "So, sir, if you don't have money, you definitely can't live in a hotel. Do you want to stay at my house?" Just what I wanted. Now Li Zan's idea is to make a living with Tanjiro, and follow him to get in touch with the master he will meet in the future, the original water column, Nintaki Sakanji. Then stroke the wool of this original water column. Pillar is the reputation of the Demon Slayer Corp's highest combat power, which almost represents the top level of combat power in the Demon Slayer world. If he hadn't met Tanjiro, it would have been really hard for Lizon to find Zoo in such a large country with its technology still lagging behind. And the pillars found may not be smoothed yet, but Nintaki Sakanji is different. He has retired and now takes it as his own responsibility to cultivate fresh blood of the Demon Slayer core. As long as he follows Tanjiro and becomes a training disciple of Nintaki Sakanji status, signing in every day is not a problem. But Tanjiro, you kid is really not very defensive. How can a stranger come to stay at your house with just a few words? With a look of joy on his face, Lizon extended his hand of thanks to Tanjiro. In fact, Tanjiro is not a stupid kid without precautions. He does have a pure heart, but he is not without brains. He agreed to stay with the stranger in front of him simply because he sniffed out that he was not a bad person. In response to Lizon's gratitude, Tanjiro reached out and held Lizon's hand. Lizon smiled. Sign in. Congratulations on signing in. Skill. Sensitive smell. The next moment, Lizon felt that his sense of smell had become extremely transparent, and he could clearly distinguish the smells of various things. The range of his sense of smell had also been greatly enhanced, and he could sense Tanjiro's emotions at this time. This is no longer just a strong sense of smell. After acquiring Tanjiro's specialty, Lizon truly understood how extraordinary this skill was. Let's go, sir, Tanjiro said. It's getting dark soon. My name is Lizon. Although he felt that his name was a bit out of place in this world, he still reported his real name. My name is Kamado Tanjiro, please give me your advice. Lizon nodded and said he understood. The two of them walked together, towards Tanjiro's house on the mountain, and the sky became darker as they walked. However, just as the plot progressed, the two of them were forced to stay when they passed the house of an old man living alone. Tanjiro wanted to refuse, but he couldn't resist the old man's force. He let Tanjiro stay here on the grounds that there was a danger of ghosts wandering around at night, overnight. Although Tanjiro didn't really believe it, it was difficult to refute the lonely grandfather, so the two had to stay here for the night. At night, Lizon told Tanjiro many wonderful stories about the original world. Tanjiro obviously regarded these stories as what Lizon, a traveler, had seen and heard. He listened with great pleasure, and finally fell asleep slowly under the urging of his grandfather. Early the next morning, the two of them set off under the grandfather's smile. The two kept chatting on the road. Tanjiro seemed very curious about what Lizon saw and heard, and his eyes kept dancing with joy. As they talked, the two of them were not far from Tanjiro's home. Tanjiro is now occupied with sharing Lizon's wonderful story with his younger brothers and sisters, so that they can also understand the vastness of the world. But in the next second, the chat between the two came to an abrupt end. Both of them smelled the extremely strong smell of human blood at this moment. Blood. Tanjiro's tone was trembling, with extremely worried expression on his face. There is only my family in the area. Following Tanjiro, who was running in panic, Lizon was already prepared. Prepare to witness that hellish scene. The journey to his home was not long and we arrived quickly. What appeared before the two of them was a cruel and bloody scene. Almost all of Tanjiro's relatives were killed. The body was lying in disarray, and blood stained many places in the house. The scenes seen with one's own eyes were far more shocking than those seen through the screen, making Lizon, who was indifferent and had a high degree of self-control, a little unable to control his expression. Looking at Tanjiro moaning in pain, Lizon stood aside in silence. At this time, he didn't know what to say to comfort Tanjiro. Tanjiro murmured and cried, frantically searching for the bodies of his relatives to see if any of them were alive. Finally, he found it. There is another person who breathes. That's his sister, Nezuko Kamado. The girl was covered in blood, her arms tightly hugging the bodies of her dead relatives. It seems that he wants to protect his younger siblings even before death. A trace of unbearability flashed in Tanjiro's eyes, but the current situation did not allow him to think too much. He broke his sister's hand away, then put her on his back and ran out. Nezuko is still alive. Hurry and go to the foot of the mountain to find a doctor for treatment. He may be able to be saved. Hurry, hurry. Tanjiro was so anxious that Lizon couldn't even care about it. Lizon didn't pay too much attention, he just silently fetched a bucket of water to clean the bloodstains in front of the door, and closed the door to prevent bears and other animals from exploring. Next, followed Tanjiro. As expected of the protagonist of the world, his physical fitness is extraordinary. Because of signing in, Lizon's physical fitness was naturally checked into the top level of real humans, but now he can't keep up with Tanjiro. If Tanjiro hadn't been running on the snow, the traces are too obvious and may be lost. You know, Tanjiro is only a teenager now and has not been specially trained. It can only be said that the physiques of people in the anime world and those in the real world cannot be generalized. However, Lizon is not in a hurry. Next, the demonized Nezuko attacks Tanjiro. The Demon Slayer core water column appears to save the situation and creates a conflict between killing ghosts and not killing with Tanjiro. It's not necessary to get involved. Lizon's small bag actually contains medical supplies, and the therapeutic supplies from the Lord are even more extraordinary. There are disposable band-aids that can stop bleeding instantly. But Lizon also knows that these things are of no use to Nezuko. Although he was injured, he has fully recovered after becoming a ghost. It looks scary now, but actually nothing happened. It's just that I'm hungry and want to eat people. I saw it. Lizon has approached Tanjiro. At this time, Nezuko was losing her mind due to the demon transformation. She pressed on Tanjiro and bit him, but Tanjiro happened to hold the axe handle and stuck it in her mouth. Tanjiro kept calling his sister's name, with tears on his face. He thought of what his grandfather said, and his heart was filled with pain and self-blame. Rescue first and then talk. The water column has not yet arrived, and Lizon cannot ignore this scene. He quickly approached the two people who were confronting each other. Before Nezuko noticed it, Lizon rotated his hips and used huge leg power. He quickly used a whip leg and threw it hard on Nezuko. Nezuko's body flew out like a kite with its string broken, and hit the tree trunk violently, making a loud noise. Nezuko, Tanjiro exclaimed. Are you okay? Lizon asked. It's okay. Tanjiro stood up and shook his head. Thank you, Lizon. He hurriedly walked towards Nezuko. He believed that his sister had just lost her mind for a while, and she just didn't recognize him for a while. Nezuko was kicked by Lizon. The kick seemed heavy, but it actually didn't cause much damage. Nezuko on the snow stared at Tanjiro walking towards her and let out a terrifying roar. But before Tanjiro could get close to Nezuko, a gust of wind blew by. Tanjiro and Lizon were stunned at the same time. Nezuko, who was screaming just a moment ago, had a knife held on his neck. His body was also controlled and unable to move. They could only keep struggling, but it did not affect them at all. People. It was a handsome-looking, black-haired man with an indifferent expression. He was wearing haori with different patterns on the left and right, and a black uniform. The blade in his hand was engraved with the 4 words, Evil Demon Killer. His name is Tomioka Gyu. It is the water pillar, one of the 9 pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps. Who are you? What are you going to do? Tanjiro looked at Jeyu's knife on Miduzi's neck, couldn't help but feel anxious, and shouted loudly. I am a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, and my duty is to kill demons. Gyu Tomioka replied coldly. She is my sister. My sister. I don't know why she is like that, but Nezuko has never hurt anyone or eaten anyone. There is an unscented smell of others in my house that kills everyone. Yeah, that's probably that guy. Not Nezuko. Don't hurt her. Gyu was shocked when he heard Tanjiro's response, and he couldn't help but sympathize with the brothers and sisters. However, his previous experience and his firm belief prompted the knife in his hand to get closer to Nezuko's neck. Your sister probably turned into a ghost because her wound was stained with ghost blood. This is how the number of cannibal ghosts increases. No, Nezuko won't eat people. I won't let her hurt anyone. I will definitely turn Nezuko back into a human. I will definitely cure her. Those who cannot be cured will become ghosts and never become human again. I will look for it. I will definitely find a way. So please don't kill her. Please, Tanjiro said heartbreakingly. Nezuko was the only one of his relatives left, and he no longer wanted to lose her. He begged and expected, hoping that the person in front of him would let his sister go. Tomioka Gyu always had a cold face and seemed indifferent to the behavior of the boy in front of him. As one of the 9 pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps, he has killed too many ghosts. Basically, all ghosts completely ignore family relationships after becoming ghosts. Some people once swore to him that their relatives who turned into ghosts would never hurt them, but the ending was often unsatisfactory. Suddenly, a straight punch came from the right. That was Li Zan's fist. Yi Yang reacted very quickly, raised his blade to block his fist, turned around and kicked. It's really a turn of events. Just now it was Li Zan who kicked someone else, and now it's someone else who kicks Li Zan. Li Zan, who was kicked away, lay motionless in the snow. Yi Yang's kick was not heavy at all, a normal person would be able to withstand it. It's not like Li Zan fainted from this kick. I just want to lie down. Just lie down for a while. Li Zan thought so in his heart. He was too lazy to mix up the love and hate between the two, but he could not guarantee that the plot would not go in an unknown direction due to the Kocho effect caused by him, so he expressed to Yi Yang that there are still people who support you. Duzi's survival can be regarded as a little effort for the smooth development of the plot. It saves both worry and effort. The argument between Tomioka Gyu and Tanjiro didn't take long. Tanjiro sat down and begged for help. Gyu was angry and reprimanded him for not arguing, and then the armed battle began. However, the gap in combat power was there. Although Tanjiro's tactic of throwing stones to cover up his axe throwing slightly surprised Tomioka, in the end the axe was avoided and the person was knocked unconscious. Nezuko's protective behavior towards the fainted Tanjiro finally moved Gyu, so he did not choose to kill Nezuko. Along the way, Li Zan kept lying on the snow to catch fish, and the snowflakes covered his body with a thin layer. Obviously I just decided to work hard, but I still can't change my salty nature for a while. In the past, because of the attached sign-in system, you only needed to sign in with whatever skills and abilities you needed. If you were short of money, just go to the bank to sign in. Living a peaceful life without lacking anything would inevitably lead to being a salty fish. Yi Yang has left. Tanjiro, who woke up after fainting for a while, gave some instructions. Don't let your sister see the sun. Go visit an old man named Rintaki Sakanji who lives at the foot of Mount Saguro and tell him that Tomioka Gyu asked you to come. After saying this, he left gracefully. Tanjiro felt that everything was like a dream, and when he saw Nezuko, who was still sleeping next to him with a bamboo tube tied in his mouth, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Nezuko is still here, still alive, that's great. Are you okay? Li Zan walked over. Tanjiro still remembered the kick he received, and asked with worry, Li Zan, are you okay? It's nothing serious. I just kicked your sister, and now I'm eating her. It's karma. Li Zan joked. Tanjiro shook his head. Anyway, thank you. Li Zan kicked Nezuko away to save himself, so Tanjiro didn't take it to heart, and now he also understands that his sister has become a ghost, and her recovery ability and physical fitness have been enhanced. Li Zan, I want to find a way to cure my sister. I will follow what that person said and find the old man who lives at the foot of Mount Sawu, Suyu. After spending more than a day together, Tanjiro has already regarded Li Zan as a friend. Now that he has no one to rely on, he is just looking for a way to cure his sister aimlessly, and he can no longer provide Li Zan with a place to stay. Bury mother, sixth wife and others, and then give the house to Li Zan to live in. Tanjiro is not a pretentious person, and will not think that letting others live in a house full of his own memories is a kind of trampling. In his mind, it is enough to help others. Let's go together for a while. Li Zan said. Just kidding, how can we part ways now? What you experience next is my purpose. Whether it's the ghost you'll encounter at the temple, or the Sakanji Hinataki you'll meet later, or the final selection you'll participate in after training to become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, all of this is my purpose. If I leave now, my success will be in vain. Although I knew that Rintaki-sa had recently lived at the foot of Mount Saguro and could go look for him by myself, it was not convenient to become the disciple of this original water pillar together in the name of Tanjiro brother and sister. Tanjiro nodded and said nothing. His expression was extremely heavy, and it was obvious that he had not yet gotten over the pain of the death of his loved one. Then, several people returned to Tanjiro's home, disposing of the bodies of his relatives who had been buried there. Afterwards, the three of them headed towards Samagiri Mountain. On the way, Tanjiro made a bamboo basket for Nezuko, which gave Nezuko a place to stay, allowing them to move forward even under the sun. During this period, Lizon got along quite well with Tanjiro and Nezuko. The two siblings were extremely fascinated by the stories told by Lizon, and their favorability was constantly improving. And in the process of getting along, the two of them received a lot of care from Lizon, and his rich knowledge in various aspects couldn't help but make the two young people feel a little respect. Lizon has not been idle these days. In addition to brushing up the two's favorability, he also keeps trying to tease them. Every day's check-in was not missed. The most rewarding thing is the skill gained from Nezuko, who turned into a ghost transformation. At first, Lizon was still hesitant to sign Nezuko, because Lizon was not sure whether signing Nezuko, who was a ghost, would cause him to become a ghost, causing himself to become a bloodthirsty ghost. However, I hesitated for a while before making the decision to sign in. After all, from the time I signed in to now, I have never signed anything that would have a negative impact on me, so I didn't think too much about it. However, this ghost transformation ability is somewhat stronger than Lizon expected. Ghost transformation. When turned on, it will turn into a ghost, its strength and speed will be greatly increased, and its recovery ability will be greatly enhanced. Note: 1. The ghost has the instinct of bloodthirsty and cannibalism. It has been optimized to eliminate the instinct of bloodthirsty and cannibalism. 2. The appearance will change after being turned on. 3. The fear of sunlight still exists. You need to find the blue Higanbana to remove it by yourself. Skills that can be turned on or off by oneself. It also humanely eliminates the instinct of wanting to eat people after becoming a ghost, but it also means that eating people cannot enhance strength. However, Lizon is still not too cold about the behavior of eating people to increase strength, so it will be gone. Gone. The fear of sunlight means that this skill can only be used at night, and after turning into a ghost, you will die if you are slashed in the neck with the Nichiren sword. However, it would be good for Lizon to find the blue flower of the other side, to relieve his fear of sunlight. This kind of flower that only blooms in the sun is quite friendly to Lizon. Without using the ghost transformation skill, he is not afraid of the sun. It is naturally much better to find the green flower of the other side, than to search for hundreds of years without knowing that this flower only blooms during the day, as if to play with his innocence. If Wushan knew, he would probably be furious. The only regret is that this skill does not mention anything about vampire magic. Vampire magic is a powerful ability that may appear on ghosts. Each ghost has a very different vampire skill. Ordinary ghosts do not know the blood ghost technique, and ghosts with blood ghost techniques are generally stronger. Maybe you need to sign in extra. Lizon thought so. In the future, when you become stronger and meet those ghosts with blood ghost skills, you can sign in again. Now Nezuko is still a fledgling kid, so naturally she doesn't know how to do vampire magic. Lizon doesn't know whether Nezuko's ability to grow bigger or smaller is part of the vampire magic. He can only see if he can sign it in the future. At midnight, in front of the ancestral hall, Lizon and Tanjiro looked serious. They had already smelled the strong smell of blood emanating from the ancestral hall at the foot of the mountain. There was some darkness around the ancestral hall, and the wind blew the branches and leaves of the trees on both sides, making an unsettling sound. As soon as Tanjiro smelled the smell of blood and realized that someone had been harmed, he rushed to the ancestral hall in a hurry. Lizon could only follow this kind child. Lizon, someone must be injured. Looking at the closed door of the ancestral hall, Tanjiro looked nervous. Maybe. Tanjiro quickly approached the ancestral hall and opened the door. It's okay. But what unfolded in front of him was an unexpected scene. The door of the ancestral hall is wide open, and with the help of the moonlight, the scene inside the hall can be clearly seen. A man is lying on a corpse, biting and eating continuously. There are also corpses scattered in the hall. The gnawing ghost seemed to hear the noise coming from behind, and said impatiently, "What's going on? This is my territory. If you disturb my meal, I won't spare you." The ghost's face is ferocious, the pupils are dilated, the eyeballs are covered with bloodshot eyes, and the sharp fangs stained with flesh and blood look very scary. Tanjiro was stunned for a moment, he didn't expect it to be a ghost. Nezuko, who came later, saw the blood-covered corpse in the hall, and her instinct as a ghost couldn't help but emerge. Her hunger and desire for flesh and blood were fully revealed, and her saliva kept flowing from her mouth. Li Zan stood silently at the back, his expression not changing at all because of all this. Nezuko is like this. Sure enough, it is necessary for Nezuko to have the psychological hint that Nezuko considers humans as family members. Huh, are you humans? The ghost licked his mouth and felt something was wrong. Obviously smelling the same kind of scent. Suddenly, the candlestick in the hall was knocked over instantly. The ghost rushed in front of Tanjiro and stabbed Tanjiro's neck with his left palm. So fast. Tanjiro was shocked. But as the protagonist of the world, Tanjiro is not an easy man. In an instant, he reacted, pulled out the axe hidden under his clothes and swung it at high speed. The attack range of Tanjiro's axe is obviously longer. Before the ghost's attack could reach Tanjiro, his neck was cut by the axe blade first. In order to avoid having his entire head chopped off, the ghost paused his attack and jumped back. Axe, it's really powerful. The ghost praised. Few of the people he had hunted before could hurt him. He didn't expect this kid to be able to hurt himself, but this little injury. He smiled evilly. Such a small injury will heal quickly. The next moment, the wound healed at an extremely fast speed, as if the previous injury was an illusion. Tanjiro was shocked. He really didn't expect the ghost's recovery speed to be so fast. Unconsciously, he tightened his grip on the axe in his hand. Tanjiro stared closely at the ghost in front of him, but the ghost in his field of vision disappeared in an instant. When he realized that the ghost was already riding on him, one hand was pinching his neck, and the other hand was pressing down on him to hold it. The arm holding the axe. What a powerful force. Tanjiro struggled desperately, but with little success, and could not shake the ghost's arm. Boom! A deafening sound came. A burst of blood suddenly appeared from the ghost's head. A small hole popped out of his temple. It's Li Zan's pistol. What's going on? Li Zan, who fired the shot, obviously had no intention of stopping. Under the shock of the ghost's voice was directly drowned in the loud sound of the shot. Li Zan didn't hold back at all and emptied a magazine directly. A continuous stream of blood burst out from the ghost's head, and a bullet from a magazine hit a similar location, causing the ghost to not recover quickly. Although Tanjiro didn't know what was going on, the fact that the ghost had been shot so many times also made the pressure on Tanjiro lessened a lot. He did not miss this opportunity, gathered his strength in his right arm, swung the axe vigorously, and slashed at the ghost's neck. However, the axe blade was caught by the ghost's arm when it was halfway through the chop, and could not completely cut off the ghost's head. You fool! The ghost roared, not only angry at the human in front of him, but also angry at the human who hit his head with an unknown method. When he was turning his head and looking in the direction of the unknown attack, he wanted to imprint the appearance of that hateful human being. After finishing dealing with the human being under him, he would definitely cut that human into pieces. But as soon as he turned his head, he saw yes, it is a black soul plate. That was the soul plate of Nezuko's shoe. Although the process had changed, the result was still the same as the plot. The ghost's head was kicked off by Nezuko. Sure enough, one of them is a ghost. No wonder I feel so strange. The angry screams of the ghost kept coming from Fei Yuan's head. Although I know that ghosts can't die like this, it still feels quite magical to see Li Zan with my own eyes. Tanjiro, give me the axe. Li Zan put the pistol into his small satchel and stretched out his hand towards Tanjiro. Here, Tanjiro didn't know what Li Zan was going to do, but he still handed the axe to him. Li Zan took the axe and swung it directly towards Tanjiro. Tanjiro was a little surprised, but out of trust, he didn't dodge. Blood spurted out, and half of Tanjiro's face was dyed red. Am I okay? Tanjiro touched his body, but there were no wounds. He looked behind him, only to find that the ghost head that had been chopped off had grown hands and approached him. Li Zan's chop just happened to hit him. Cut off the ghost hand that was attacking him. The ghost's head let out a piercing scream. You're not dead yet, Tanjiro exclaimed. By the way, Li Zan, what happened to your previous attack from a distance? I'll tell you later. Without a direct response, Li Zan pointed to the headless ghost body that had begun to move and said, the vitality of ghosts is very tenacious. Don't be careless. You and your sister go deal with that. Li Zan handed the axe back to Tanjiro, motioning for the headless ghost corpse to be handed over to their brother and sister, and then pointed to the ghost head that had grown hands again and was looking at him ferociously. "Leave this to me." Quote. After Tanjiro and Nezuko went to deal with the ghost corpse, Lizan took out the knife he borrowed from Tanjiro a few days ago from his sleeve and showed a completely unsmiling smile. "Let me see what you can do." How to recover. For some reason, the ghost with only a head and 2 hands suddenly felt a chill, and his ferocious face froze. After Tanjiro and Nezuko finished dealing with the ghost's headless corpse, Lizan finished his work. Facts have proved that the recovery ability of ghosts cannot be used indefinitely. Damage reaching a certain limit can also destroy ghosts. However, the vitality of ghosts is so strong that it is basically impossible to exhaust it with human physical strength. Therefore, only sunlight, and it is said that only the sun sword can kill ghosts. If the ghost didn't have only 2 hands left, Lizan wouldn't be able to play like this. In the end, Lizan even turned on the ability to transform into a ghost, killing him over and over again under the shocked, frightened and disbelieving face of the ghost. Lizan. Tanjiro came over. "This cannibal should be dead." "Yes." Lizan nodded. "The ghost's vitality is very strong. It took me many times to kill it. It must be very painful. Is there no way to kill him with one blow?" Tanjiro had no objection to killing the ghost, but he still sympathized with the ghost's painful death. This kid. Lizan didn't refute Tanjiro. Although he didn't like Tanjiro's ideas, he didn't hate his gentleness that was deep in his bones. People who didn't know might think that Tanjiro was a hypocritical virgin, but Lizan understood that this was a teenager. The most innocent thoughts of a young man. Don't sympathize with sinful ghosts. A round and deep middle-aged voice came from not far away. Several people looked there at the same time, and saw a white-haired man wearing a Tengu mask and a blue robe embroidered with white clouds standing there, looking at Lizan and Tanjiro. Sure enough, there were no footsteps. Neither Lizan's intuition nor the sense of smell he got from Tanjiro found this person. Is the gap in combat power too big? Ningtaki Sakanji. This Yuan Shueju didn't seem to have just arrived here. He had obviously been observing for a while before reappearing. He just glanced at Lizan with an admiring and puzzled look, then passed him and went to talk to Tanjiro. It's a bit risky. Lizan naturally understood the meaning of his eyes. The praise was because he did not have a ghost-killing weapon, but he dealt with the ghost decisively and calmly. The doubt was probably because he smelled the ghost that finally turned into a ghost. After all, the nose of Kintaki Sakanji is also unusual, but it should be that he has not been seen in the form of a ghost. Otherwise, the first thing to do is to question himself first, and he will never be ignored so easily. Tanjiro should be being lectured now. Tanjiro's gentleness looks like hesitance from Nintaki Sakanji's side. Tomioka Gyu had previously sent a letter to Rinataki Sakanji, in which he explained the reasons for the Tanjiro brothers and sisters and recommended Tanjiro to become the heir to the Sui Hashira faction. But Tanjiro's performance didn't quite meet the standards of Sakansu Ninataki. This kid can't do it. During the reprimand and inquiry, Rintagisa was more certain of his thoughts and glanced at Lizan unconsciously. Yiyang, you may have made a mistake, this is the truly suitable candidate. It's not that Lizan was not mentioned in the letter of righteousness, but there was not much description of Lizan. But he didn't just give up on Tanjiro like that. From now on, let me see if you are qualified to become a demon slayer swordsman. Put your sister on your back and follow me. Early morning has arrived, and Nezuko has already quietly hid in the bamboo basket. Do you want to become a ghost-slaying swordsman? Rintaki Sakan asked as he passed by Lizan. Yeah, Lizan nodded in response. Now that you have killed one demon, you will have to join the Demon Slayer Corps for the main mission. After completing it, you can focus on the side missions. Then you'll come too. As soon as he finished speaking, Nintaki Seigo started running. Even when Rintagisa ran recently, he didn't make a single sound. Tanjiro followed with his sister on his back, and Lizan followed slowly at the back. By the time the 3 of them arrived at the residence at the foot of Mount Lintaki Sakanji, Tanjiro was panting and out of breath, while Lizan was in very good condition and didn't feel much tired. Go back to the mountain. As soon as he arrived in front of the door, Ningtaki-sa said these devastating words for the first time. Ah, Tanjiro couldn't help shouting, but he didn't object to giving up or anything. He really wanted to become a ghost-slaying swordsman, because in this way he could find a way to turn his sister back into a human from the ghost, and he could also save her. Others, Satanjiro will not give up. You don't have to, Rintaki Sakanji said to Lizan. Although Lizan was a little confused, he was happy that he didn't have to put in much effort and helped Tanjiro take down the bamboo basket containing his sister and go into the house. In Rintaki Sakanji's heart, Lizan is already qualified to become a demon slayer swordsman, so he does not need to participate in the next test, but Tanjiro, a young man, is still a little behind and needs to be tempered, and this is also after avoiding it. Tanjiro may pass the test with the help of Lizan. Opening the bamboo basket, Nezuko was sleeping peacefully inside. It seemed that she had fallen into a deep sleep due to the stimulation of human blood and extreme hunger. Water breathing mastery. One of the 5 basic breaths derived from the starting breath and sun breath. Members of the Demon Slayer Corps can obtain powerful combat power by practicing breathing techniques, which is an important method to fight against ghosts. This is the skill that I got by signing in after, accidentally, touching Sakanji Ninataki. It has to be said that the ability of the sign-in system is really extremely powerful. The moment he signed in with this ability, Lizan's body had already mastered everything about the breathing of water. Whether it was the operation and use of breathing or the mastery of sword skills, he was already extremely proficient. Although it will not elevate him to Ju's strength in an instant, Lizan at this time already has the strength to fight against Shashion. From now on he is no longer an ordinary person. In this world, Lizan truly has the ability to survive. Even if he faces some ghosts with blood ghost skills, Lizan will not lose and can even kill them. Of course, this is the premise of possessing the Sun Sword. But that's just the current strength. Lizan will continue to sign in here and stay here for a long time until all the wool is wiped out. Lizan placed Neduzi on the bed, took out the instant coffee in his small satchel and boiled water. I don't know what those people from the 4th team of Jongjo are like. While drinking coffee, Lizan looked at the scene outside the door, his thoughts surging. Time passed quietly, and before you knew it, it was approaching the day when Tanjiro would participate in the final selection. The two have basically spent the past 2 years in training. In fact, Tanjiro is just a little tired from work, and Lizan's physical fitness cannot be generalized due to signing in. For ordinary people, these hard trainings are nothing but child's play for Lizan. Signing in day after day led to Lizan almost wiping out all the wool of Lin Takazago. He has learned everything he should learn, and even learned the techniques of carving and making masks that he should not learn. His strength has been established early. Entered the realm of pillars. Some people may question this, but Lizan's signature is comprehensive, and there will be no unfamiliarity in strength. He also signed in for abilities similar to ghost hunting experience, so his strength is adequate. Level with columns. During the training process, Rintaki Sakanji had already seen Lizan's extraordinary ability, and was even secretly shocked by his outstanding talent. During the days when he retired and became a trainer, Lizan could be said to be the best he had ever seen. The most talented one. Although Tanjiro's talent is also very impressive, it still pales in comparison. Perhaps only those children who became pillars in a few months can be comparable. Rintaki Sakanji always thinks like this from time to time. After realizing that he had nothing to teach Lizan in the middle and late stages of training, the old man focused all his energy on Tanjiro. Therefore, Tanjiro's level of fatigue skyrocketed in the later stages, and he had to see his comatose sister several times a day in order to persevere. Calm down. In fact, Rintaki Sakan is more fond of Tanjiro, because after getting along day by day, he has gradually figured out the temperament of Tanjiro and Lizan, and deeply realized that Tanjiro is the one who has a firm belief in killing ghosts. More suitable for people who become ghost-slaying swordsmen. On the contrary, Lizan has no faith at all, but Rintaki Suru will not let Lizan become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps these days. No matter what, it is always good to join the Demon Slayer Corps and contribute. Moreover, Nintakazeo also treated Lizan as his disciple recently, and was happy for his disciple's outstanding talent without any partiality. Originally, Lizan could have participated in the final selection of Demon Slayer Corps members and become a glorious Demon Slayer Corps member. Nintaki Saji recently suggested it because he was strong enough, but Lizan rejected it. He thought about joining Tanjiro so that he would be taken care of in the final selection. Nintaki Saji also agreed. Most of the disciples he cultivated as a trainer did not pass the final selection, and they all died in it. Tomioka Gyu was the exception among the exceptions, so in his heart he also hoped that the disciples could survive safely, past. The old man didn't know that every disciple who died before was actually related to him. Recently, Nintaki-sa will give his disciple a mask before he sets off in the hope that he can survive the final selection safely, and the death of his disciple is also related to this mask. On the mountain where the final selection was made, there was a Tioni that was much stronger than the other ghosts on the mountain. This ghost was hunted by Nintaki Sakanji before he retired. Because he remembered the mask that Nintaki Sakanji wore when he hunted him the first time, he always purposefully hunted people with similar masks in every final selection. Otherwise, during many years of training, it would be impossible for only a few people such as Tomioka Yoshiyuki to survive the final selection. You must know that Nintaki-sa's training ability as a trainer recently is not bad. He is extremely strict and will not allow himself to teach people who are not strong enough to let them die. If it were not for Tioni, the surviving disciples would definitely a lot more. Because too many disciples died, Kintaki Sakanji even deliberately prevented some disciples from participating in the final selection in order not to see any more children die in vain. As for Lizan and Tanjiro's outstanding performance, Nintaki Sakanji will not prevent these two from joining the final selection, but Nintaki Sakanji still gives them the problem of cutting off big rocks to participate in the final selection, but I believe both of them can overcome this problem. Have you cut off that big stone? Li Xuanxiang asked, standing on the gravel and looking at Tanjiro blankly. Tanjiro's mouth opened wide, obviously he still hadn't recovered from the shock of Lizan smashing the stone with his knife. It wasn't until Lizan hit his head with the back of the knife that he recovered, not yet. As he spoke, Tanjiro tightened the knife in his hand, clenched his fists, and encouraged himself, I will definitely be able to do it today. Come on, Lizan lightly encouraged, be like me. Ah, I can't do it. Tanjiro, who was extremely determined just a moment ago, immediately showed an expression full of, can't do it. So I have to ask Mr. Tanjiro to refuel the stove. It's Kamado. When the two returned to the house, Rinataki Sakanji had already prepared the meal. When he saw Tanjiro entering the house with a happy smile on his face, he couldn't help but ask, success? Yeah, up pointing arrow. Teacher Lintaki. I succeeded. Tanjiro responded with a higher tone of voice. Lizan sat next to the small hanging pot for cooking, both of us succeeded. Although Tanjiro's process was difficult, he succeeded anyway. The souls of the two seniors who died in the plot, Chu Rabbit and Makomo, really helped Tanjiro and allowed him to overcome the rock difficulties. Lizan, who was watching from the side, was quite curious about the souls that could appear in this world, and almost died. I couldn't help but go up and play. Then we won't eat this tonight. To celebrate you getting through this difficult time, let's have a hot pot dinner. The old man Ninataki Sakanji seemed very happy at the moment. His usually calm voice was a little different, and he couldn't help but smile. The Tengu mask is revealed. Okay, Tanjiro was also quite happy. Of course Lizan is also on the happy list. After all, he hasn't had hot pot for a long time. After having a full stomach, Nintaki Sakanji took out two masks from his sleeves and handed them to Lizan and Tanjiro respectively. The two reached out and took it. This is a mask to ward off evil. I cast a spell on it to protect you from disaster. I hope you return safely. Yes, the two said in unison. After getting along for a long time, Lizan couldn't help but feel a little affection for the old man in front of him. He was very grateful for his care and very grateful for his behavior of smoothing his wool. He will not let down Lintaki's expectations. After joining the Demon Slayer Corps, he will try his best to kill demons. Not only because killing ghosts in side missions can increase contribution points, but also because of the care of his predecessor Shueju. The next day, the two packed up their luggage and set out on the road early. Under the watchful eye of Ninataki Sakanji, they gradually traveled further. Teacher Hinataki, I'll leave my sister in your care. That's right. Thank you Soto and Makomo senpai for me. Tanjiro's distant voice came. Linlong's praying face suddenly froze, and his eyes became complicated. How did this kid know about the two dead children, Chutu and Makomo? Chapter 11. The two kept walking and arrived at Tengshi Mountain at night. The mountains are covered with wisteria flowers, which look magnificent, quiet and mysterious from a distance. Wisteria is also one of the nemesis of ghosts. The poison of wisteria can destroy the body tissues of ghosts just like sunlight, so ghosts will subconsciously stay away from wisteria. Kocho Shinobu, the insect pillar in Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, was even able to use wisteria flower poison in the final battle of Mugen City to kill both Doma and Doma. For ghosts, wisteria flower poison is an extremely scary thing. As for why so many wisteria flowers are planted in Tengshi Mountain, it's because this is the place for the final selection, in order to prevent the ghosts inside from escaping. Yes, there are ghosts on Tengshi Mountain, and there are quite a few of them. The condition for passing the final selection is to survive for 7 days on the Vine Raid Mountain. Whether you are hiding, killing demons and surviving, as long as you can survive for 7 days, you can join the Demon Slayer Corps. It is impossible for people without certain abilities to succeed. No matter what, head-on contact with ghosts within 7 days is certain. Hungry ghosts will look for your human breath and attack you. Although the ghost's strength is due to being locked up here and not being able to eat anyone, and because he was not very strong when he was captured, most trained people can normally fight against a ghost on this mountain, but this requires courage. With wit. You need to have the courage to fight against the ferocious ghosts, but also the wit to hide when encountering multiple ghosts, and to heal yourself when you are injured to protect yourself. But in the face of cruel ghosts, many novices cannot be brave and resourceful. After all, not everyone has the experience of fighting ghosts like Tanjiro. After witnessing the ferocity and terrifying recovery ability of ghosts, it is inevitable for normal people to panic. Therefore, very few people survive the final selection every year. It would be good if half of them came back alive. Walking up the stone steps and past the red torii gate, many people were already standing in the huge square. Lee Zan glanced at it and saw Kanao, the stepson of Insect Pillar, who was also his disciple, Agatsuma Zenitsu, former disciple of Naruhashira, and Shinazugawa Genya, the younger brother of Fangju. After that, all the important plot characters arrived. It's all done, and the rest are just some insignificant miscellaneous fish. Good evening everyone, thank you all for coming to participate in tonight's final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps. Two twin girls in purple kimonos standing in front of everyone, holding lanterns and wearing purple kimonos, said slowly, attracting everyone's attention as soon as they opened their mouths. Everyone also understood that this was an official member of the Demon Slayer Corps, and they were all waiting for their explanation. The two of them were like two emotionless puppets, narrating for everyone. In this vine-covered mountain, ghosts captured alive by the swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps are imprisoned. The ghosts cannot leave here, because the wisteria flowers that ghosts hate bloom all year round from the foot of the mountain to the middle of the mountain. However, from here up there will be no wisteria flowers, there will be ghosts, and surviving on this mountain for 7 days is the qualification for the final selection. I wish you all good luck. After hearing the selection rules, Tanjiro approached Lee Zan and asked, "Do we want to go together?" Lee Zan shook his head, "We can go together, but it's not necessary." Because Tanjiro has recently increased his training and Lee Zan's occasional guidance, Tanjiro's strength has now taken a big step forward compared to the original plot. I believe that fighting more Tioni will be much easier than in the original plot, so there is no need for Lee Zan go with him. After all, Tanjiro needs to grow up on his own. After separating from Tanjiro, Lee Zan found Shinazugawa Genya instead. Shinazugawa Genya is a guy with dark comb hair and a scar on the left side of his face that extends to his nose. There were traces of the fight on his face at this time, which were left from the conflict with Agatsuma Zenitsu just now. "What are you doing, you guy?" Seeing Lee Zan walking straight towards him and looking at him unscrupulously, Shinazugawa Schwanmi had an unhappy look on his face. Lee Zan is quite interested in Shinazugawa. His ability to eat ghosts greatly improves his physical fitness and temporarily transforms him into a ghost. The stronger the ghost he eats, the more his regeneration and strength are increased. Lee Zan is attracted by his ability. Quite curious. There is value in signing in. Although he already has the ability to become a ghost, he is always different. It is better to sign for him than to waste signing on useless things. Looking at Shinazugawa, a smile that he thought was friendly appeared on his face. You fool. Shinazugawa Schwanya's temper was very explosive. Maybe it was because the anger from the conflict just now had not subsided. When he saw Li Zan's nonsensical behavior towards him, he thought it was a mockery of himself and punched him directly. Swung up. In an instant, the eyes of everyone around were attracted by this scene. Facing Shinazugawa's fist, Li Zan stretched out his hand to the knife hanging on his waist, put his palm against the handle of the knife, pushed back slightly, and the scabbard flipped over in an instant. Others saw that the end of Li Zan's scabbard was against Shinazugawa's fist, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not open the scabbard. Shinazugawa blushed, retracted his blocked fist, avoided the scabbard, and got close to Li Zan, wanting to punch him at close range. But before he could get close, another scabbard struck him on the back, knocking him to the ground. What you do? You have a bad temper, please change it. Li Zan knelt down and patted Shinazugawa Genmi's shoulder. Sign in successfully. Acquire skills. Ghost Bite. It is also an easy to understand skill. Eat ghosts, increase strength and temporarily transform into ghosts. It's nothing special. It conflicts a bit with the ghost transformation, but I can use it to pretend to be a ghost in the future. Li Zan thought. Who do you think you are? Shinazugawa shouted, scratching his neck. Being completely suppressed in front of so many people made him feel angry. It's just that it was just accidental. If I used a musket, I would definitely. When he looked up with anger on his face, he found that the man was gone. Make sure he looks good next time you see him. Shinazugawa Schwanya was filled with anger, and Li Zan's appearance was deeply etched into his mind. Walking up the mountain, the scenery here is in sharp contrast to that at the bottom. There are no longer mysterious and beautiful wisteria flowers, it is just an ordinary wild forest. The gloomy environment even makes people feel a bit chilly, and there are no traces of mottled trees. How much murderous intent is hidden under the shadow? There were a lot of people participating in the final selection, but they were spread out like a stone falling into the sea to the huge Tengshi mountain, and they didn't cause much of a stir. The final selection tests a person's independent survival, self-preservation and ghost-killing abilities, but it does not restrict others from traveling together. However, there are still a few people who have this awareness, and they basically go alone in excitement. The aura emitted by the arrival of people finally attracted the attention of the ghosts hiding in the mountains, and evil ghosts rushed out from hiding in the darkness. They haven't eaten anyone for a year, and their instincts have made them crazy. Only instincts are left in their minds to control their bodies, and they rush towards popular places crazily. At this time, Li Zan was walking alone in the quiet woods, when suddenly there was a rustling sound around him. Li Zan, who has a sense of smell similar to that of Tanjiro and Hinataki Sakanji, has naturally noticed the hungry ghosts attacking him. Li Zan could even hear the sound of their saliva dripping clearly. Human. Finally, one ghost couldn't help it anymore and rushed towards Li Zan with its whole body. When the other ghosts saw someone trying to get there first, they couldn't help but rush out. You know, one person can't eat enough. Suddenly, there were 5 ghosts surrounding Li Zan attacking him at the same time. Li Zan didn't panic, and didn't even raise an eyebrow when faced with this situation. He quickly drew his sword and made a starting gesture. The breath of water, the shape of one, the water surface cuts. The plain words fell. The Nichiren sword in his hand slashed out with blue ripples, forming flat sea ripples all around, sweeping towards the evil ghost that was charging at him. The sound of running water disappeared in an instant, and the 5 ghosts had their heads cut off, fell to the ground, and turned into ashes. In fact, it is best to use the wave of attacks against most enemies, but as long as you can kill them, don't worry about them. Being strong means being willful and you don't need to think so much. Then start killing ghosts. Killing ghosts can increase the contribution value of tasks, and Li Zan has not forgotten the side tasks of the main god. A keen sense of smell is the best tool for Li Zan to detect ghosts. The weak strength of the ghosts on the mountain is vulnerable to Li Zan. There is no need to worry about anything, just kill them. After a few hours, more than 20 ghosts died in Li Zan's hands. During this period, Li Zan also encountered the Tioni. After thinking for a while, he decided to let Tanjiro deal with it. Not only because Tanjiro needs to be tempered, but also because Tanjiro has a stronger bond with Chiaotzu and Makomo than he does, so it is more suitable for him to take revenge. It's just that Lee Zan didn't expect that he didn't intend to kill this duo Tioni. The guy got excited when he saw his evil-proof mask, and came to him excitedly, and kept mumbling, "I want the disciples you train. They all died in my hands." Of course, Lee Zan would not coddle it, so he chopped it hundreds of times and chopped it into minced meat. It's just that this guy's vitality seems to be stronger than expected, and he didn't die even after this. Although Lee Zan didn't deliberately chop his head, it is an indisputable fact that he chopped his body into minced meat. The vitality is surprisingly tenacious. Lee Zan faced Duo Tioni's extremely frightened eyes and looked at him like he was looking at garbage. If the ghost in the ancestral hall were to be attacked like this, it would definitely die. This one was really not bad. If he didn't die, he would be lucky, so he would leave it to Tanjiro. Until Lee Zan left, Tioni was endlessly grateful. Although he didn't know why the ghost-killing swordsman who hated ghosts so much wanted to let him go, it was his stupidity to let himself live. Tioni's face gradually distorted with fear. The despair just now in Lee Zan's unparalleled power had penetrated deeply into his heart, but they also made him feel extremely humiliated and angry. "Although I can't kill you. But I will kill your compatriots. I will hunt those guys wearing masks." Tioni doesn't think that every guy wearing a mask has the strength of Lee Zan, he must be just an exception. Otherwise, he wouldn't have killed so many guys wearing a mask and lived well. "It's so stupid. I killed so many people wearing the same mask, but you still let me go. It's so stupid." After thinking about it, Tioni's body has returned to its original shape, with a twisted smile on his face. At this time, Tioni smelled human breath, and Tanjiro was fighting with 4 ghosts not far away. Taking a closer look, the fox mask on Tanjiro's head made Tioni's eyes red. Moreover, Tanjiro's performance did not make him feel the slightest fear, so he rushed forward without hesitation again. Then after a fierce battle, he hit Gigi again, but this time no one let him go. Tanjiro actually killed Tioni on the spot. When the final selection was on the 3rd day, a Demon Slayer Corps support staff wearing a turban appeared in front of Lee Zan. "What's the matter?" Lee Zan shook off the blood on the sun blade in his hand and said calmly to the person in front of him. Cold sweat broke out from the forehead of this logistics team member. How come the pressure to face this person is as great as the pressure to face those pillar masters? Instructions from the Lord: summon Demon Slayer Corps member Lee Zan to the mansion for an interview. A respectful voice came from his mouth. Hearing this, Lee Zan was a little surprised. "Is it past? This is only the 3rd day." "Yes, you have become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps." "Just kidding, you have killed so many ghosts on Tengshi Mountain in the past 3 days. If you continue to kill, how will you be selected for the next final selection?" The logistics team members couldn't help but curse in their hearts. There was a person like this many years ago. Although that person did not pass the final selection, it was a bit troublesome that almost all the ghosts on the mountain were dead. But it was a pity that that person did not pass the selection. In fact, the person the support team members are thinking about is the soul of the mentor Tanjiro, the deceased Chu Usagi who was in the same class as Tomioka Gyu. The rabbit almost killed all the demons on Fujirai Mountain. When he was exhausted, he fought against Tioni to save Gyu, but was accidentally killed and died. Therefore, this became a hurdle that Tomioka Gyu could not overcome throughout his life. "The main mission has been completed. Do you want to return?" The Lord God's voice suddenly sounded in Lee Zan's mind. He killed a ghost and joined the Demon Slayer Corps, which meant that the main mission was completed and he could return. No, Lee Zan immediately rejected the reminder to return. There are still more than 2 years left, so there is no rush. "Let's go then," Lee Zan said, putting the Sun Lune sword back into its scabbard and gesturing to the person in front of him to lead the way. The two walked down the mountain road, and when passing by the square where they stayed before, they found that the twins were still there, so Lee Zan stepped forward and asked them to tell them the news after Tanjiro passed. After the twins nodded in agreement, Lee Zan also there is no need to worry anymore. After 2 days of traveling, the two arrived at the mansion where the Lord was. This is the location of the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The location is extremely secret, located in the mountains and dense forests. Li Zan would not be able to remember it if he didn't deliberately remember it. There are also many wisteria flowers blooming around the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters to protect them from ghosts. From the fact that the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters has been searched for thousands of years and failed to be found, one can imagine how secretive its location is. Want to meet the Lord? The corners of Li Zan's mouth curled up slightly. He still wanted the predictive ability inherited from the Ubuyashiki family. Find an opportunity to touch him. The accompanying logistics team members had already left, and Li Zan himself walked slowly into the yard that was filled with the fragrance of flowers. There was a man and a woman in kimonos standing in the yard, with their backs to Li Zan, so Li Zan didn't see their faces, but Li Zan knew that the man was Kagaya Uyashiki, the lord of the Demon Slayer Corps, and the woman was one of the others' wife. As if they heard Li Zan's footsteps, Kagaya and his wife slowly turned around. That's right, this disfigured face and blind eyes are indeed Uyashiki Kagaya. Li Zan stood still. At this moment, an invisible aura spread out from his body to all directions unconsciously. Oh, although he couldn't see it, Ubuyashiki could still clearly feel the intimidation surrounding him. However, having been in power for a long time, he did not show any signs of being unbearable. Instead, he had a little idea of Li Zan's strength level in his mind. Do you have Ju's strength? Ubuyashiki smiled, feeling happy that the Demon Slayer Corps would have one more powerful fighter. Your breeder is a former water column, right? Li Zan regained his momentum and became an ordinary person in an instant. The purpose of exuding momentum is not to show off, but to let Uyashiki have a clear understanding of his own strength. That way, making requests is also more likely to be accepted. For example, let yourself touch all the pillars. Yes, Master Lintaki Sakanji. Li Zan replied. Mr. Sakanji has really cultivated an incredible seedling, Uyashiki Kagaya said with a smile. Even though it was Uyashiki Kagaya, I couldn't help but feel happy. At all times, the Demon Slayer Corps is undermanned. The birth of a ghost is extremely easy, but every combat power of the Demon Slayer Corps requires years of accumulation. Therefore, every piece of combat power is extremely important, let alone a pillar-level combat power. With a new, pillar-level combat power, the Demon Slayer Corps becomes more powerful, the more people it can protect, and the greater chance it has of winning in the battle with ghosts. This is an important reason why Uyashiki Kagaya is in such a state of mind at this time. You have now officially joined the Demon Slayer Corps, and a raven will be assigned to you. It will tell you when there is a mission. Ubuyashiki speaks slowly and carries an inexplicable and convincing magic. As his voice fell, a dark crow crossed the sky and landed on Li Zan's shoulder. The crow is a type of crow trained by the Demon Slayer Corps that has a certain IQ and can speak. The transmission of information between the Demon Slayer Corps basically relies on the crow. Li Zan gently stroked the crow's head with his fingers, and the crow rubbed Li Zan's fingers dependently. Let's call you Chi Crow. Li Zan randomly named the black crow. I will make a Nichiren sword for you later, cough. It seemed that he had stayed outside for too long, and Ubuyashiki's condition was a bit bad, so he coughed a few times. Ubuyashiki's wife looked at him worriedly and tried to help him back to the mansion. Ubuyashiki Kagaya waved her hand and said no. It's better to go back and rest, my lord. A voice full of energy came from the side. Li Zan turned around and looked. The visitor has long yellow hair with red edges at the tips, thick black sword eyebrows, and piercing eyes. He is wearing a brown Demon Slayer Corps uniform, with a white feather fabric on his shoulders and a flame logo tattooed on the end of the feather fabric. One of the 9 pillars, the flame pillar, Purgatory Anjiro. In Demon Slayer Corps, the requirement to become a pillar is to kill 50 ghosts or defeat 112 Kazuki. But now Joju's strength has obviously greatly exceeded the strength limited by this condition, and everyone is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Just like 12 Kazuki cannot be compared with 12 Kazuki, pillars cannot be compared with each other. Maybe they weren't very strong when they first became pillars, but after years of hard work, this generation of pillars is undoubtedly a very powerful one. And the strength of Purgatory Xingjulong is also ranked high among the pillars. Undoubtedly powerful, contact with the strongest in the highest realm. Even the third character of 12 Kazuki couldn't hide his admiration for this man after fighting with Anjiro in the subsequent plot, and wanted to turn Anjiro from Purgatory into a ghost many times. Li Zan's intuition also foreshadows the power of the flame pillar in front of him. Perhaps it would be difficult for me to defeat this man now without using my ghost transformation ability. Flame pillar. Li Zan murmured. Do you know me? Purgatory Xingqiu Lang's hearing was very sensitive and he heard Li Zan's murmur. Li Zan nodded. I heard it from my master. Naturally, Lintaki Sakanji never said it, it was just an excuse made up by Li Zan. It just so happens that you two can get to know each other first. Ubuyashiki said with a gentle smile, being supported by his wife. Okay, my lord, please go in and have a rest. Purgatory Xingjulang said with concern. The Ubuyashiki family was cursed because of the ghost of Mukai. Although every heir of the Ubuyashiki family could acquire the ability of temporary foresight, they were seriously ill and their lifespan was short. Okay, Uyashiki responded and returned to the house. Seeing his lord go back to rest, Purgatory asked Li Zan, what is your name? Li Zan. Li Zan. A smile appeared on Purgatory Xingjulang's spirited face. I also felt the momentum you showed just now. You are very strong. Do you want to come and compete? Forget it, Mr. Purgatory. Li Zan is really not interested in a battle where there is no certainty that the match will be evenly matched. He only likes to play a crushing game. With the sign-in system, he can surpass others with just a little effort. There is no need to compete with others. But, a smile suddenly appeared on Li Zan's expressionless face, and he extended his hand to Xingqiu Lang to shake hands and express friendship. Xingqiu Lang couldn't help but look disappointed when his request for discussion was rejected, but he still held Li Zan's hand enthusiastically, expressing his goodwill. Please give me more advice in the future, Li Zan. If you have any questions, you can come and ask me. Okay, Li Zan said with a smile. Sign in successfully. Breath of Fire, a mastery. Starting breath, one of the 5 basic breaths derived from the breath of the sun. Demon Slayer Corps members can obtain powerful combat power by practicing breathing techniques, which is an important method to fight against ghosts. Although I didn't come into contact with Ubuyashiki today to obtain his precognitive ability, it is also a good choice to sign into the flame pillar to obtain his flame breathing mastery. Tip. The breath of water can be integrated with the breath of fire. Then Lita merge. Li Zan said silently in his mind. Tip. Water breathing expert and fire breathing mastery have different levels, and the objects to be fused need to be of the same level. Do they need to be at the same level? Li Zan's proficiency in breathing of water has long since surpassed the master level and reached the expert level. However, because of this, Li Zan was not lucky enough to sign into breath of fire expert. He only signed into the master level, so he could not combine the two at the same time. Fusion. That can only. Li Zan moved his gaze to Purgatory Xingjulang's face and said slowly, I suddenly changed my mind. Can you let me stay with Mr. Purgatory and learn from each other every day? Of course. Purgatory nodded in agreement instantly. Although it was unclear why Li Zan suddenly changed his attention, he still felt happy to be able to compete with people of similar strength. Purgatory Angero's current mission is to protect his master and act as a line of defense against a sudden invasion of ghosts, so he did not go out to perform the mission. But for Purgatory, staying in the same place every day is a bit boring, and having someone to study with can alleviate some of the boredom. Let's spar now, Purgatory asked with great energy. Well, let's start again tomorrow. I'm a little tired today. Li Zan declined. Oh well, let's go, Li Zan. Then, Xingqiu Lang led Li Zan to his mansion, arranged an empty room for him, and asked the team members in charge of logistics to take more care of the newcomer before leaving. Jung. The iron blades collided with each other and made a violent sound. They were 2 Nichiren swords, one was bright red and the other was deep blue. Powerful power bursts out from the junction of the sun-lune blade, affecting everything around it. The strong wind caused by it swept away in a circular shape. The 2 men holding Nichiren swords stepped back at the same time after the handover, lowering the blades. You're progressing so fast, Li Zan, Purgatory Angero said as he held the Nichiren sword engraved with Evil Demon Slayer, and felt the soreness and numbness in his arm. Li Zan chuckled and said, No, Mr. Purgatory. He wore his own Demon Slayer Corps uniform that he had modified to be much looser. The azure Nichiren sword exuded a deep and eerie light in his hand. Coupled with Li Zan's own appearance and temperament, he looks very handsome and handsome. When you first came here, you were a little weak against me with swords, but now you are obviously much stronger than me. Purgatory Anjiro said, waving the sword to relieve the soreness and numbness in his arm. Isn't it that Mr. Purgatory hasn't used the breathing method yet? The same goes for you. Xingjulong's eyes were bright and full of energy. We haven't used the breathing method yet, but now your power surpasses mine by a lot. Your progress in this month has been amazing. While he marveled, he couldn't help but think of Shazu, who became a pillar within a few months. But Muichiro's strength slowed down after reaching a certain level, but Li Zan's strength was like a torrent of courage that never stopped. It was simply terrifying. It's too much. It's too much. Li Zan put the Nichiren sword back into its scabbard, stepped forward, and stretched out his hand to Purgatory Xingjulong out of habit. Purgatory also held Li Zan's hand enthusiastically. This has become their habitual behavior after daily discussions and exchanges. After the discussion, shake hands to express friendship. Of course, this is just what Purgatory thinks. Sign in successfully. Acquire Breath of Fire Mastery, which can be superimposed. Overlay. Acquire Breath of Fire Expert. The Breath of Fire Expert can be merged with the Breath of Water Expert. Can they be merged? A. Fusion. Integration is successful and the unknown breathing method is obtained. Do you want to name it? Seeing the information in the sign-in system, Li Zan tried a new breathing method and found a puff of mist coming out of his mouth. Fog. The result of combining the breath of fire and the breath of water is the breath of mist. Li Zan was surprised and immediately named this unknown breathing method the mist breathing method. If the combination of the two basic breathing methods of fire and water is mist, what kind of breathing method should I combine all the breathing methods into? Will we get the original source breath of all breathing methods, the breath of the sun? Li Zan was a little curious. The next moment, Li Zan found that he could switch between breathing water and breathing fire with this new breathing method. That's fine, after all, I haven't explored the breath of mist yet. Li Zan thought. By the way, is there anyone else in this world who can master two kinds of breathing methods besides Tanjiro later? If there are, then there may be traces of the fused breathing methods. Mr. Purgatory, has anyone mastered the two basic breathing methods before and combined them? So, Li Zan asked Purgatory Xingjulong. Two breathing methods, Purgatory said thoughtfully. So far, there seems to be no situation. There are only cases where swordsmen master one basic breathing method and then derive other breathing methods. Why do you ask? Li Zan did not respond. Instead, he drew out the Sun Lune saber again and half-raised the blade with one hand. The breathing method of water works. The gurgling water appears and flows on the blade. The next moment, the water disappeared. The breathing method of inflammation operates. Raging flames bloomed and burned on the blade. Seeing this, Purgatory Anjiro showed a surprised look on his face. Then, the flames disappeared. The breathing method of mist works. A vague mist emerged from the blade. Mist, Xingjulong asked suspiciously. The breathing method stops and the fog disappears. This is the result of combining the breathing method of water and the breathing method of fire. I call it the breathing of mist. Li Zan said. This name is very appropriate. Xingjiro smiled. No wonder you asked me for the breath of fire training method before. Was it because you were trying to practice another basic breathing method? Yes. In order to dispel Xingqiulang's doubts, Li Zan had already made preparations. Can't others practice the two basic breathing techniques? Li Zan asked. Yes. Xingjulong nodded. After each of us practices a basic breathing method, we will not be able to master other breathing methods. Now it seems that you should have a special physique. Then you can't borrow things from breath of mist from other people. Li Zan was slightly disappointed. Quack. At this time, Li Zan's exclusive crow flew from the sky and landed on his shoulder. Is there a mission? Li Zan turned to look at Chiya. The Sifang family discovered a cannibal on the outskirts of Kyoto. Please ask Demon Slayer Corps member Li Zan to go quickly and kill him. Ah, I originally wanted to stay a little longer and try out this fused breathing technique with Yenju. Go, Purgatory Anjiro said. This should be your first mission, come on. Okay, Mr. Purgatory, Li Zan responded. After the mission is over, have a serious duel with me and use your full strength. I'm looking forward to the duel with you, Anjiro said with a smile. An all-out duel. Okay. Li Zan reluctantly nodded and accepted. After all, after working hard for so long, I still feel a little uneasy if I don't even agree to this request. Demon Slayer Corp's logistics are very good. They have prepared necessary items for Li Zan on the road and planned everything on the journey. Li Zan only needs to carry a few things he needs before setting off. Before departure, Li Zan visited his lord and touched him with a handshake, but for the first time, he did not sign in what he needed, nor did he sign into the Ubuyashiki family's temporary precognition ability. Since there was nothing he could do without signing in, Li Zan could only make an excuse and ask about Tanjiro's current situation. It has to be said that the founder of the Demon Slayer Corps has really strong intelligence capabilities, and he knows many things about Tanjiro clearly. Therefore, Li Zan learned that Tanjiro is now also performing a mission near Kyoto where this mission took place. After the mission is completed, let's go see him by the way. Li Zan thought so. What do you think of Tanjiro's sister? Before Li Zan left, the master sitting on the bed spoke. The surrounding atmosphere seemed to condense in an instant. Mrs. Uyashiki, who was waiting on the side, even breathed carefully. She can't eat people, that's what I think. Li Zan said. The Demon Slayer Corps will not allow members to harbor ghosts. You will allow it, my lord. After hearing what Li Zan said, Kaguya was silent for a while before continuing. The pillars will not agree. Tanjiro and I are the same master. Li Zan's meaning is obvious, his position is on Tanjiro's side. After many years of getting along with him, he has already regarded Tanjiro as a friend. The pillars won't agree, then just let them agree. Is this so? Uyashiki Kaguya pondered. Then I'm going, my lord. Li Zan said goodbye and left the mansion. Abnormal progress speed, strong strength, compatible with the two basic breaths. And breath of mist. Kaguya looked at Li Zan's leaving figure with a calm expression and didn't know what he was thinking. Woo. The sound of coal trains that used to appear in movies and TV dramas can be heard next to my ears. Li Zan sat on a seat in a certain carriage of the train, looking out the window at the scene that looked like a slideshow. This time the mission was on the outskirts of Kyoto. The distance is a bit far, so I arranged a train ticket for Li Zan, and there will be a dedicated person to guide me when I arrive. This can be regarded as the importance the Demon Slayer Corps attaches to Li Zan. Normal swordsmen would not receive such treatment. Li Zan got tired of looking at the scenery outside the window, so he closed his eyes and rested in his seat, with the details of the mission flashing through his mind. The details of this mission are that many members of the Safang family on the outskirts of Kyoto suddenly disappeared recently. When they were found, only some remnants such as clothing were found. It was suspected that there was a ghost, so Li Zan was sent to solve the problem. There was only so much information, so little that he had to investigate it personally. It's so sad to live without the internet. Unknowingly, Li Zan's thoughts went wrong. The speed of the train is much slower than that of Li Zan, who has experienced the new era of transportation in the Celestial Dynasty, but the Neon Country is only so big, and the distance from Kyoto is not ridiculously far, so soon after Li Zan closed his eyes to rest. We arrived at our destination. Ooh, steam. The train stopped and docked. Li Zan noticed on the train that a woman wearing the uniform of a Demon Slayer Corps support member was standing there upright beside the platform. At this time, Li Zan was not wearing the Demon Slayer Corps uniform, so the support team member did not recognize Li Zan. It wasn't until Li Zan walked up to her that she reacted and bowed respectfully. She heard that although the person in front of her had just joined the Demon Slayer Corps, he was very powerful. People who are powerful and take the initiative to join the Demon Slayer Corps to kill demons and protect others will naturally win her respect. Walking on the road to the suburbs with a logistics team member named Hayakawa Teiko, Li Zan asked, "Have you done a little investigation?" Yes. Hayakawa Tianzi's voice came out from under the mask. The first disappearance of a member of the Safang family occurred after a certain transaction with a businessman. What about the businessman? Disappeared and can't be found. Is there anything unusual about the Safang family? Many members of the entire Safang family have disappeared. Now the people in the clan are panicked. Some people can no longer bear it and have left the clan. Well, I understand, leave the rest to me. Excuse me. Hayakawa Tianzi bowed respectfully again. In order to shorten the walking time, Li Zan specifically asked Hayakawa Tianzi about the location of Sifang's house, planning to rush there first. After all, Hayakawa Tianzi is just an ordinary person, and the speed of travel is too slow. I'll go over first, Li Zan said to Hayakawa Tianzi. Okay. Then Li Zan used the breathing method and moved forward like a shadow. When passing by pedestrians, the pedestrians thought it was just a gust of wind. With Li Zan's traveling speed, he soon arrived in front of a mansion. It smells like that. Li Zan shrugged his nose. He smelled the scent of ghosts from the keen sense of smell of Tanjiro and Nadaki Sakanji. There is indeed a ghost. Knock on the door. A woman in a red kimono opened the door and came out. When she saw someone she didn't recognize, she couldn't help but ask, "Who are you?" "I'm here to solve the problem of missing members of your family." Hearing Li Zan's words, the woman's face lit up and said, "Please come in, please come in." Hayakawa Tianzi had greeted the Sifang family, so the other party wasn't on guard. Li Zan didn't hesitate and walked in. "I will take you to your room to rest first, and then report to the head of the house." The woman took Li Zan to a clean room and asked him to wait here quietly. After Li Zan nodded, he bowed and left. After waiting for a long time, a man with an upright face came to the door of Li Zan's room. "Hello, sir, I am Sifang Zhang, the head of the Sifang family." "Come in." Li Zan and Sifang sat face to face with each other. "Sir, he must be a member of the Demon Slayer Corps organization." Li Zan nodded. "Recently, there have been many disappearances in the family. Although I think it was the work of thieves or clan enemies, my wife thought it was the work of ghosts, so I asked for help, sir." Sifang Zhang said slowly, his words revealing his concern. "The distrust of the person in front of you. Yes, the news of ghosts is blocked. For most people, it is just a folklore with no concrete basis. Otherwise, the Demon Slayer Corps would not be just a non-governmental organization with hundreds of members." Li Zan understood what Sifang Zhang meant. He believed that ghosts were a myth and that he was just a charlatan. "Where is your wife?" Li Zan asked. "Since this person does not believe it, find someone who does." "My wife is resting, so I came here." Sifang Zhang said, "I will give some money to you, sir. Can you go back the same way?" "Ha!" Li Zan couldn't help laughing. "Why are you laughing?" Sifang Zhang's voice suddenly turned cold, and his attitude changed instantly. "I just find it interesting." Li Zan held his chin and joked. "Hey, the head of the Sifang family, do you think this kind of thing can happen? A family since the head of the family does not believe in the existence of a ghostsa, if I'd ask just my wife who believes in it, will I personally come to receive it?" You. It seemed that Li Zan's words had irritated him. Sifang Zhang had an angry look on his face and started to slap the case. "If you don't want to leave, then don't leave." Before he finished speaking, he felt a chill on his neck. When he looked closely, he found that the dark blue blade was already on his neck. "You are obviously a human being, why do you do things for ghosts?" Li Zan whispered in Sifang Zhang's ear. You. Sifang Zhang's voice trembled, and he couldn't say a complete sentence for a long time. "Do you want to die?" Li Zan had a smile on his face, but the words he spoke were like the cold wind of the winter moon, biting to the bone. "I don't want to," Sifang Zhang shouted. "Tell me, what's going on with the Sifang family?" "I can't say. I will die," Sifang Zhang said in fear. "I don't know if you will die if you tell me, but if you don't tell me, I will definitely chop you with a knife." I said it. Li Zan retracted the blade and sat back to his original place, with the gentle smile still on his face. However, Sifang Zhang did not dare to sit down anymore. He shrank his head and spoke submissively. "I am indeed the head of the Sifang family. I am just the successor after the death of the previous head of the family. The previous head of the family had an affair with a mysterious businessman. It was a porcelain transaction, but I did not expect that the other party was a cannibal evil ghost. He was eaten alive by the evil ghost and died. Then the evil ghost threatened me to work for him and cover up his cannibalism. Quote, he is still a ghost who can develop sustainably. Li Zan thought, normal ghosts would just eat people regardless of how many people there are. This ghost should know that if the cannibalism is exposed, people from the Demon Slayer Corps will come to destroy him. Originally, there would be no problem if a few people disappear every once in a while, but for some reason, the evil ghost's appetite has been getting bigger and bigger recently. There are too many people missing, and I can't hide the news. And your arrival should be caused by a member of the clan. Ha! Li Zan sneered, so your duty is to cleanse the land of ghosts. I was also threatened, and there was nothing I could do. Sifang Zheng lowered his head and said, to tell you the truth, I can actually smell lies. There is nothing wrong with your other words, but on the issue of threat, you lied. Hearing this, Sifang Zheng raised his head in astonishment. Let me guess, you are not a successor at all, but a scumbag who turned to evil spirits to work for him in order to become the head of the family. You will come directly to see me, make me confused with words with obvious loopholes, pretend to be angry and force me to take action, probably just to see if the people in the Demon Slayer Corps are really powerful, and if so, you will use the threat of being ghosted. The remarks ask the Demon Slayer Corps to kill ghosts. If not, they would choose to get rid of or drive away the ghost hunters, and then continue to work for ghosts. Speaking of this, Li Zan couldn't help but think of Tanjiro. If he encountered such a thing, he would probably fall into the trap and spare the other party after he made the false statement that he was threatened by ghosts, and begged for mercy. After all, although Tanjiro's sense of smell is sensitive, it is still not to the extent that Li Zan can superimpose and integrate the sense of smell of Nintaki Sakanji and Tanjiro. And what I can smell is not just that, there is also the scent of a ghost coming quickly towards this side. Li Zan's words stopped here. Suddenly, the air in the entire room seemed to condense, making people breathless. Sifang Zheng did not move, and the surprised expression on his face turned a little gloomy. Boom! The door was suddenly knocked open, a smelly smell hit his face, and a big mouth covered with minced meat bit into the door in front of Li Zan. The breath of water, the shape of chi, the ripples of Shizuku. Before he could finish his plain words, the azure tip of the knife had quickly stretched out, like a pebble sinking into the water, and suddenly penetrated the attacking ghost's neck, creating waves of ripples around it. The tip of the knife pierced the ghost's neck, and his head flew up. His ferocious face was forever fixed on the flying head. The power of the sun's characteristics carried by the Nichiren sword caused the ghost's body to dissipate like smoke. Li Zan looked at Sifang Zheng, who had retreated to the door, and asked, your threat has been eliminated, what are you going to do now? Sifang Zheng did not reply, but ran away in a panic, shouting, Sir, help me, sir. Is there anyone behind this? Li Zan looked towards the place where the evil ghost he killed died. Is this just cannon fodder? He didn't use breathing techniques to catch up, and just followed Sifang Zheng unhurriedly. Sifang Zheng's shouts alerted many of the remaining members of the Sifang family. They thought it was the rumored man-eating evil spirit that had appeared and surrounded them with swords, spears and halberds. Quick, kill him, kill him. Our tribe disappeared because of him. He is a man-eating evil spirit. Sifang Zheng shouted at the top of his lungs. The people from the surrounding Sifang family looked at each other in confusion. Although the man following him was holding a long knife, his clean clothes and handsome face could not tell that he was a man-eating evil ghost. However, compared to outsiders they have never met, the people of the Sifang family still tend to prefer the head of the family who has just come to power. They gradually surrounded Li Zan with weapons. Tisk. Li Zan curled his lips. These people were just members of the Sifang family who were kept in the dark. It would be unjustifiable if they were all killed. But we can't just let him slip away. The next moment, the Sun Lune knife held by Li Zan quietly turned over, with the back of the knife facing upwards. The breath of water, the shape of sea, hitting the tide. There was a sudden sound of running water, and the blue water flowed, forming waves of continuous water waves that hit the surrounding people. Everyone touched by the tide had their eyes rolled upward and slowly fell to the ground. A man fell down, and the weapon in his hand fell to the ground with a clanging sound. By the time everyone fell to the ground, Sifang Zheng had disappeared. However, Li Zan was not in a hurry. The scent of Sifang Zheng was still clearly lingering in front of his nose, so he just followed the smell. He walked step by step in the direction of harmony in all directions. Until they came to a main room with a closed door. Li Zan's nose twitched, confirming again that Sifang Zheng was inside. But there is no other breath. Where is his adult? Li Zan walked to the door and opened the door with 2 swords. Looking inside, there are a lot of porcelain placed in the hall. Sifang Zhang is facing a certain porcelain and talking anxiously. The porcelain was a pot, all white, with bright red patterns of flower branches painted on it. My lord, that ghost hunter is too powerful. You need to kill him. My lord, he is coming. My lord, help me. Sifang Zhang saw the door being opened and the ghost hunter stepped in, his voice gradually getting louder. Suddenly, a laugh came from the pot. Hearing the response, Sifang Zhang's face lit up with joy. The breath of a ghost. Li Zan stopped, there are still powerful ghosts. The next moment, a hand as small as a baby suddenly stretched out from the pot. The little hand suddenly grabbed Sifang Zhang, who looked delighted. Big. Man, I am your slave, Sifang Zhang said in horror. But that little hand didn't pay attention to Sifang Zhang's reaction, and quickly raised Sifang Zhang and shrank it into the pot. Normally, a person could not fit into the opening of the pot, but there seemed to be endless power in the little hands, forcing all the square bones and flesh into the mouth of the pot. Sifang Zhang did not die immediately, but died completely after a period of violent howling. After a while, the pot returned to its original state. It's like nothing happened. The breath of fire, the shape of Wu, the fire tiger. The breath of flame operates. This is the first time Li Zan has used the breath of flame. However, the skill of signing in is engraved in his bones and will not be unfamiliar. The flames scorched and adhered to the blade. As the Nichiren sword swung, a ball of flames burst out, forming a roaring mighty flaming tiger head that engulfed the pot. However, just before the impact, the pot suddenly jumped up, did a Thomas Piero in the air, and landed swinging. Yan Hu's slashing attack was also avoided. What a risk, what a risk. A somewhat gloomy and mocking voice came from the pot. Then, there was a purple fish with white eyes, yellow eyeballs, green lips, 2 mouths on the eyes, a tongue sticking out, eyes on the forehead and mouth, and several small arms hanging from the hair on the head. A half-ghost with fins all over its head emerged from the pot. The ghost's upper body is connected to the pot, as if it is one with the pot. Li Zan raised his eyebrows when he saw the ghost in front of him. A big fish really popped up. Thoughts surge. He recognized the identity of the ghost in front of him. The 5th string in 12 Kazuki, Jade Pot. A terrible guy. The most powerful person in the ghost camp. Maybe if I had met this guy a few months ago, I might not have been able to win. But, now, that's not necessarily the case. Li Zan's eyes flickered, and he lowered his hand on the sunwheel knife. After all, in the original work, Yuhu was killed by Shitoru Muichiro, who turned on the pattern of Kasumashira, and at this time, Li Zan had already surpassed Kasumashira, who could turn on the pattern under normal combat power. Therefore, Li Zan has considerable self-confidence. Hey, are you going to kill me now? You ghost hunters are really weird. You just ate some people. Yuhu said cowardly. What's going on with the harmony of the 4 directions? Li Zan asked instead of rushing to take action. He, a stupid guy, originally thought that he highly admired my artwork, gave him a chance to offer food, and did some tricks to do him a small favor, but I didn't. I thought that he had donated less and less blood and food during this period, so I let him make up for it by himself. But it doesn't matter, it's just for fun. Yuhu didn't know what his thoughts were, but he answered the question. Li Zan just wanted to continue talking, but a dangerous message came from intuition. He did not doubt that he was there, and concentrated his attention on warning. The next moment, a large number of fish with sharp teeth and sharp mouths suddenly appeared from the pile of porcelain pots placed beside Li Zan, and pounced towards Li Zan. Vampire Magica biting fish. Yes, the jade pot can freely move back and forth on the pot you made and release attacks. Li Zan reacted. However, because of his vigilance, Li Zan was not thrown into disarray by this sudden attack. The breath of flames, the shape of sea, the vortex of flourishing flames. Just like the characters in the animation, Li Zan always has the habit of naming the moves when he uses them, which can be regarded as a kind of interest. The flames rose, forming whirlpools around Li Zan with the slashes, protecting his entire body under the shield of the whirlpools of flames. The moment the fierce fish rushed towards the whirlpool, they were swept and roasted by the flames, falling like snowflakes. Tisk, didn't you succeed? Yoo-hoo stopped the useless technique and twisted his body, and even the pot under him swayed with his twisting. You are a very powerful ghost hunter, can't you be Zhu? Li Zan remained silent without replying. After the surrounding flames gradually dissipated, he casually chopped the jade pot that released the technique into pieces with a knife. Yoo-hoo thought he had acquiesced, and there was a strange look of excitement on his face. Ah! Lord Wuhan, to show my loyalty, this Zhu will definitely die. My men. Suddenly, his little hand took out a pot with a pattern of water plants from nowhere, and the mouth of the pot faced Li Zan. Vampire art 1,000 needles of fish killing. In an instant, brightly colored goldfish emerged from the spout of the pot, with strange expressions and bulging cheeks, swimming in the air as if in water. This trick, Li Zan recalled comic clips about the jade pot in his mind. Be careful, the bulging cheeks of the goldfish swelled even bigger, like inflated balloons. In the next moment, the cheeks suddenly contracted again, and long sharp needles spit out from the fish's mouth and shot towards Li Zan. Hide, Li Zan thought about how to deal with it. No, the scope is too large. Use the Uzumaki of Shungyan again. Without hesitation, the breath of flame circulated again, the sun blade waved again, and the whirlpool of flames surged up again, surrounding Li Zan. What Li Zan didn't expect was that the long needle actually penetrated the obstacle of the whirlpool and shot towards Li Zan with huge kinetic energy. Didn't you block it? Thoughts surged in an instant. The breath of water, the three patterns of flowing dance. The blazing flames on the Nichiren blade's blade instantly turned into gurgling water. Changing the breathing method will originally cause a huge burden on people. In the animation, Tanjiro changed from water breathing to sun breathing during the battle at Spider Mountain, and it was almost impossible to recover. But for Li Zan, the breath of water and the breath of fire are both sign skills. Once you use them, you will go if you don't use them. There will be no such consequences. As the words fell, he danced with the water, leaping and dancing, dodging long needles with elegant steps. Some of the long needles that could not be avoided were cut off by the blade he swung as he danced. And after dodging all the long needles, he still didn't stop, approaching the jade pot with wave-like water. Facing the approaching ghost hunter, Yoo-hoo didn't feel any nervousness. Instead, he smiled and took out a new pot from somewhere. Vampire Arta Corpus Pot Hell. Suddenly, a giant octopus tentacle emerged from the spout of the pot and rushed towards Li Zan, seeming to surround him and crush him to death. The breath of water, the second type of water wheel. In the room of lightning and flint, Li Zan's sword force changed, and his whole body turned upside down out of thin air. The water flowed like a rolling water wheel, and he slashed at an octopus tentacle in a circular motion. The octopus's tentacles are very soft, and even if the water wheel slash hits them, it won't cause much damage. But it became a leverage point, allowing Li Zan to turn back and jump out of the strangulation range of the giant octopus's tentacles. It's really awesome. Demon Slayer Corpse Pillar. Ha ha ha. Yoo-hoo twisted his body and smiled. A bit troublesome. Li Zan stared at the jade pot and thought. I originally thought that with the breath of water and the breath of fire, my current strength must be much greater than that of Toru Muichiro, who had turned on Kasumi Hashira. Although he would not be able to defeat Yutsubo easily, it should not be difficult at all. But after a few official moves, Li Zan felt a little pressure. Killing should be possible. After all, he knows many of his moves. And it was just a tentative exchange of moves just now. But I'm still used to crushing them with a knife. The thought of obscene growth flashed through Li Zan's mind, but he quickly snuffed it out. It's not easy to find a string, wouldn't it be a pity to just let it go? But, although it can kill, it doesn't suit my own ideas. In fact, Li Zan's purpose was not to kill Yoo-hoo, but to capture Yoo-hoo alive and use it as a prop for daily sign-in. It doesn't matter whether he kills or not, whether he captures alive or not, let's test it first. The blue Nichiren sword was lifted up, and a faint mist emerged from the blade. Breath of mist. Seeing the fog gradually getting thicker, Li Zan suddenly remembered that Sha Zhu also produced fog when he used Sha's breathing. However, his breath of clouds is a derivative of the breath of wind, and his breath of mist is a combination of water breath and fire breath. But there should still be something in common, so Lita find an opportunity to ask. Immediately, Li Zan increased his breathing. The fog in the hall became thicker and thicker, spreading throughout the space, and it was almost impossible to see everything around him clearly. Fog. Yoo-hoo looked at the rapidly spreading fog, with an ominous premonition in his mind. We can't let this fog fill the air any longer. The number of hands on his body gradually increased to 10, and each arm held a pot with a fish pattern tattooed on it. Vampire Arta 10,000 sliding and sticking fish. As soon as he finished speaking, long strips of sticky fish with sharp teeth spewed out from the spout of the pot like a fountain, tens of thousands of them, covering the sky and the earth. Each sharp-toothed fish is extremely vicious, and its body fluids also contain terrifying poisons that can enter other people's bodies as soon as their skin comes in contact with them. Countless sticky fish bit into Lizon's direction. But the next moment Yoo-hoo couldn't feel the joy of sticky fish, which meant that there was no one in that position at all. Gone, Yoo-hoo said doubtfully, and after a little sensing, he found that even the human breath had disappeared. Then, he pointed the pot around and spurted out more sharp-toothed fish, filling the entire hall. At the same time, fog has filled the entire space, and everything around is covered by the thick fog. Countless sharp-toothed fish attacked every direction of the hall. But the results were all in vain. Escaped. Yoo-hoo stopped outputting the blood ghost technique and kept looking around. All that comes into view is white mist. At least the people in the hall have disappeared. The breath of fog, the shape of one, the fog gradually becomes brighter. A dull voice suddenly came from the thick fog. Still there. Yoo-hoo's face was filled with surprise and uncertainty, and he suddenly turned his head to look in the direction where the sound came from. I saw the thick fog in that direction suddenly swaying, and a deep blue sun-shaped sword cut away the thick fog in the open hall, and slashed towards Yoo-hoo's body with the sword's light. Yoo-hoo only had time to tilt his head back to prevent the other party from cutting off his head. Ah! As the Nichiren sword sank into Yoo-hoo's body and cut off half of his shoulder, he let out an angry and painful scream. Looking at Lizon, who drew out the sun blade and retreated, Yoo-hoo's face became extremely ferocious and angry, staring at the ghost hunter in front of him. Although the injury was repaired in an instant, Yoo-hoo still couldn't bear to be hit by the ghost hunter. And if his knife had hit his neck just now, it would have been possible. Yoo-hoo's pupils widened, and his whole body underwent a different change. He slowly walked out of the pot, showing his complete posture. Let you see the perfect posture I extracted in the pot. You will be the third person to see my posture. I will kill you severely. The exposed appearance of the jade pot is covered with scales that are harder than diamond. There are webs between the long and slender fingers. The lower body is like a snake, exuding an extremely weird and evil aura. Be humbled by the flawless beauty. He spoke with great confidence. Is it the second stage? Lizon looked at Yoo-hoo, who was full of confidence, and murmured in a low voice. Lizon knew that the jade pot had a second stage, so he was not surprised. Instead, what he cared about was the breath of mist he used just now. After the experiment just now, Lizon finally understood the function of the thick fog. Block the view and confuse the direction. That's what thick fog is for. Yoo-hoo's vampire trick just now did not attack every part of the hall. Those sharp-toothed fish all attacked in an inexplicable direction after entering the thick fog, but they just thought they were heading in the right direction. The one type, mist, gradually becomes brighter as a move created by Lizon himself. Tests have proven that the effect is good. Let it be settled. Lizon thought. The creator of mist breath just decided on the name of a move. He still had many ideas he wanted to test. It's all the result of my wild thoughts on the road. But the jade pot has evolved to the second stage, and its strength seems a bit difficult to test. Never mind. Then try to find ghosts with weak points and try again. Lizon thought silently in his mind. Turn on ghost transformation. Yoo-hoo, who was still admiring his perfect body in the distance, was shocked in vain. An inexplicable panic surged into his heart, and he couldn't help but look at the ghost hunter, who thought he could no longer escape. But he found that the other party had changed his appearance in an instant. The ghost hunter's black hair stretched to his shoulders, and the whites in his eye sockets suddenly turned black. His eyes were like deep black holes in the abyss, swallowing everything, unable to see any life. Long blood-red stripes appeared on his cheeks. The narrow strip of flesh between the neck turned up, vaguely projecting some kind of sinister gaze. What's going on? Yoo-hoo screamed loudly, and his confident heart suddenly became a little loose. The opponent's aura, like a creature born to suppress a superior species against a subordinate, washed away his spirit all the time. Why are you a ghost? Moreover, this kind of aura is just like facing Master Wuhan. Yu Hu felt that his world was collapsing. Li Zan tightened the Sun Lun Dao in his hand, feeling an indescribable power within his body. This is not the first time he has turned into a ghost. He has turned into a ghost before, but the change is not like it is now, and the increase is not as big as it is now. It was so big that it could kill the frightened jade pot in front of him with just a few cuts. He was a little scared of his own strength at the moment. In fact, this is normal. Li Zan, who has not been transformed into a ghost, already has top human strength and can compete with powerful ghosts, let alone become a ghost queen. The superposition of the increased power of becoming a ghost and the power possessed as a human is not as simple as 1 + 1, it can even be said to be a qualitative change. Just like Kokushibo, one of the upper strings, he was originally a top swordsman among humans who could use breathing techniques. After becoming a ghost, his strength made him powerful enough to become one of the upper strings. The strength gap between Kokushibo, one of the upper strings, and Yu Hu, the fifth one of the upper strings, is as big as a cliff. The breath of water, the type of Onia water cutting. The breathing of water is moving, and the gurgling water is attached, but there seems to be a touch of black that cannot be dissolved in the water flow. Wait, Yu Hu roared crazily, we are all ghosts. We are all ghosts. He is a person who bullies the weak and fears the strong. After seeing the terrifying aura and unrivaled posture of the person in front of him, he can't even raise his heart for confrontation, so he can't help but start a relationship. But Li Zan paid no attention. The black and blue flowing water came to the jade pot in an instant, and the blade lurking in its sliced AA through the jade pot's body. In an instant, the fish scale body that Yu Hu was proud of, which was harder than diamond, was cut like tofu from the upper left corner of the body to the lower right corner of the body. How could it be? Compared with the pain coming from his body, what confused Yu Hu even more was that his body was cut off so easily. Wait, Yu Hu begged for mercy with a look of fear on his face. But his hand touched Li Zan beside him. Li Zan, who entered the ghost state, reacted extremely quickly, and was cut off by the sun sword before Yu Hu's hand could get close. He doesn't want to be touched by Yu Hu's hand, because Yu Hu's God hand can turn everything he touches into a fish. How dishonest. Li Zan's voice was unusually hoarse at this moment, like an annoying murmur under the nine netherworld. He kept swinging the sun blade, cutting off Yu Hu's limbs, but perfectly avoiding his neck. Yu Hu could do nothing except yelling crazily at this time. The opponent's speed and strength were far superior to his own, and he also had a natural oppressive aura. And for some reason, the opponent seemed to know his vampire skills well. Whenever he took out the pot, the other party would directly chop the pot into pieces, without giving him any chance to release the spell. After the limbs are regenerated, they are cut off directly without giving any chance to resist. Yu Hu could only hope that the opponent's energy would be exhausted. Even escaping is a luxury. He felt like a pet in a cage, being played with at will. The other party can obviously cut off his own neck easily and kill himself completely, but why is he toying with him like this? Yu Hu didn't understand, and the resentment in his heart reached the extreme. Why, you are obviously a ghost too. You are also a ghost created by Master Wuhan. Why? Only the two mouths above his eyes can still move, and he keeps spitting out his tongue and roaring. But what he responded to was two knives that cut open his mouth. The world suddenly became quiet. In the entire hall, there was only the sound of swords chopping limbs apart. Li Zan was like a madman at this moment, silent, only waving the sun blade in his hand wildly. Yu Hu's recovery speed was ridiculously fast, and Li Zan's sword swing speed was also ridiculously fast. In 1 second, he swung dozens or hundreds of knives. 1 minute passed, 10 minutes passed, 30 minutes passed, 1 hour passed. The physical strength of the ghost Li Zan seems to never be exhausted. But Yu Hu's condition seems to be getting worse. The recovery speed of his limbs has become a bit slow. Another few minutes passed. Yu Hu's limbs have completely stopped regenerating. Even the mouths and the two eye sockets only grew on one side. There was only a limbless body lying weakly on the ground, unable to utter a word. Li Zan was released from the ghost state, and his body gradually returned to its normal state. He put the Nichiren sword back into its sheath and relaxed his tired arms. Sure enough, my hands still hurt after wielding so many knives. The vitality of ghosts is really scary. Li Zan lifted the jade pot and looked at each other. His cold and calm eyes formed an extremely sharp contrast with Yuhu's eyes full of fear. The pupils reflecting the word, Shengwu, fluctuated violently, and emotions of fear and fear seemed to fly out of their eyes. So, how do I pretend to be you? Li Zan worriedly put his chin on his hand and thought. By the way, let me remind you first, if you try to recover your hands and feet, I will cut you down to just a little bit below the neck, and then stuff you into a urinal. You or not, I like the pot the most. Li Zan smiled gently, but he didn't look smiling at all. In the end, Li Zan randomly took a sack and stuffed the dying jade pot into it, tied it tightly, and then put the sack back on his back. The moment before walking out of the hall, Li Zan suddenly remembered something. Speaking of which, what should we do with those people in the Sifang family who have fainted or are confused now? Forget it, just tell Hayakawa Tianko and let them solve it. Li Zan planned to leave the matter directly to the Demon Slayer Core Logistics team. That's probably what happened. I'm sorry to trouble you. Li Zan said to Hayakawa while carrying the sack. To keep his words simple, he probably said that Sifang Zheng colluded with ghosts, but failed to cooperate and was silenced by ghosts, who were also killed. Okay, Hayakawa Tianzi bowed again respectfully. She was also surprised at this time. She didn't even arrive at Sifang's house, and the matter was already over. She sighed at the other party's strength and at the same time the respect in her heart deepened. Li Zan smiled kindly, used breathing techniques and left. Following the scent of people, Li Zan came to the bustling center of the capital. The island country during the Taisho period is now in a stable period and appears to be thriving. There are various shops in Monroe. Even though it is approaching evening, they are still brightly lit and people come and go. Li Zan found a restaurant, paid, and ordered a bowl of soba noodles to fill his stomach. You will also get tired of eating food prepared by logistics all the time. The jade pot and the sack seemed to be in a high mood because he came to a crowded place. However, after Li Zan punched the sack a few times, he became quiet. After finishing one bowl, Li Zan felt that his stomach was not full enough, so he had another bowl. Suddenly there was shouting from the street outside the store. Chaotic sounds continued one after another, and there seemed to be a commotion. Li Zan emptied the noodle soup and put down the bowl and chopsticks. The tip of his nose curled up, with a look of surprise on his face. It's the taste of Tanjiro. What a coincidence. When performing the mission, although Li Zan wanted to meet Tanjiro by the way, he didn't expect that he would meet Tanjiro by chance while eating noodles. Ghost breath. Li Zan smelled the scent of 3 ghosts and a ghost that suddenly appeared. The smell that suddenly appeared was very sudden, as if it came out of nowhere. When I walked out, I found that the street was already crowded with people joining in the fun. So Li Zan relied on his strength to force his way in. During the process, he encountered several rude people, and Li Zan was knocked unconscious with one punch. Seeing this, the crowd quickly made way for this scary guy. But when Li Zan just saw a ghost struggling and howling in pain on the ground and Tanjiro who was pressing down on the ghost, a burst of fragrance suddenly came, and everything around him seemed to become like a dream, with butterflies swarming and flowers floating. The fragrance of blood-inducing and visual dreams. As the fragrance spreads, the spirits and consciousness of passers-by seemed to be confused, their eyes were blurred, and their bodies were shaking. Vampire magic. Li Zan had strong willpower and was slightly affected by the blood ghost technique. He only saw some strange scenes. He looked in the direction of the release of the technique. There were 2 people standing there, a woman in a kimono who was scratching her arm with her fingers and bleeding, and a green-haired boy in a kimono. Li Zan thought, these 2 are the 2 of the 3 ghosts he just smelled. The memory image appeared in my mind. Tamayo and Yushiro. 2 ghosts who can survive without eating people. He is also a good ghost who stands in the human camp and contributes to defeat Wuhan. Li Zan realized that this scene was the first time Tanjiro saw Wu Mei. At this time, Muzan was discovered by Tanjiro hiding among ordinary people. Because he saw the pendant of breath of the sun on Tanjiro's ear, he became jealous, so he chose a random passerby to turn into a ghost to delay Tanjiro and then left by himself. Tanjiro was left alone to suppress the passerby who turned into a ghost and was questioned by law enforcement officers. Then the remaining smell that I smelled before is miserable. Lee Zan thought. Even when you are facing someone who has turned into a ghost, you still use the word human. Tamayo approached Tanjiro and said calmly. Tanjiro's actions and words touched her heartstrings, so she came to the rescue. This boy made her feel touched. And you plan to help him, then let me help you too. Tamayo said elegantly, and the damage caused by the vampire technique in his hand was instantly restored. Why are you? Tanjiro asked in confusion. He had already smelled the ghost smell emanating from the person in front of him and realized the identity of the person in front of him. Yes, I am both a ghost and a doctor. Tamayo directly revealed his identity, paused, and continued, I want to kill that man, Kibutsuji. Her words were full of determination. Tamayo was once turned into a ghost by Muzan and lost his mind and killed his husband and son. He was taken by Muzan by his side because he was a doctor. He also hurt humans due to confusion and dementia. Later, he was killed hundreds of years ago because of Muzan. The strong man who breathed Ji Guiwan was seriously injured and took the opportunity to break away from Wuhan's control and aimed to kill Wuhan. Me too. Lee Zan, who was watching on the sidelines, suddenly spoke. Who? Yushiro said in surprise. After hearing the sound, he couldn't help but subconsciously block in front of his master Tamayo. Is there anyone who has not been affected by Tamayo-sama's blood ghost technique? Tamayo was also a little surprised and couldn't help but look at Lee Zan. Loose and somewhat baggy long clothes, bangs that slightly cover the eyebrows, slightly delicate facial features, and deep and cold eyes. He was carrying a sack on his back and a long knife hanging on his waist. The moment she saw the long sword, Tamayo recognized it as a Nichiren sword. After all, she had been dealing with people from the Demon Slayer Corps for a long time. Is he also a member of the Demon Slayer Corps? But the attitude of some Demon Slayer Corps people towards ghosts. I am a ghost. Tamayo once again revealed his identity. She wanted to see the other person's attitude. If there is a head-on conflict, judging from the fact that the opponent is not affected by his blood ghost technique, it means that he must be strong. In a conflict, he and Yushiro are definitely no match, and they can only run away. But in this case, you can't be with this child. Tamayo glanced at Tanjiro out of the corner of his eye. But he found that the other party was looking at the Demon Slayer Corps members who suddenly appeared with surprise on their faces. No, Lee Zan, Tanjiro said in surprise. Sure enough, we know each other. It seems that there will probably be no conflict. Tamayo's anxious heart gradually relaxed, but his basic vigilance was still maintained. Long time no see, Tanjiro. Lee Zan first said hello to Tanjiro, and then said to Tamayo, I know you are a ghost, but I don't have the idea of killing ghosts, so don't worry. Quote. He kept a gentle smile on his face and looked very kind. Hearing this, Tamayo said politely, in that case, can you two come with me? As soon as he finished speaking, Yushiro whispered advice to Tamayo behind him, Tamayo-sama, that guy's smile makes me feel very uncomfortable. I can't trust him so easily. In response, Tamayo just shook his head at Yushiro. I have to go find my sister first. Tanjiro thought of Nezuko being left in the udon shop. Get this person for treatment first. Lee Zan pointed to the unlucky passerby who was pinned down by Tanjiro. Okay. Tamayo nodded and signaled Yushiro to subdue the unfortunate guy. I'll let Yushiro find you later. Yeah, Lee Zan responded and said to Tanjiro. Let's go, I haven't seen Nezuko for a long time, and I miss her a lot. Tanjiro smiled and said, Nezuko misses you a lot too. Friends who had not seen each other for a long time met again, and Tanjiro's depressed mood gradually improved due to seeing Mumei. Although Lee Zan and Tanjiro were not classified as senior brothers under the guidance of Rintaki Sakanji, Lee Zan's broad knowledge and more mature mentality made Tanjiro inevitably treat Lee Zan as a big brother type of character when getting along. With him by your side, you will always feel more at ease and happy. By the way, Lee Zan, this ghost behind you? Tanjiro suddenly asked on the way. Did you notice? Lee Zan shook the sack, as if it was a stress reaction, causing the contents of the sack to tremble. What's inside is a very ferocious and powerful evil spirit, and I captured it alive, he explained. Then why didn't you kill this evil ghost? Tanjiro asked puzzledly. Although he was kind and would sympathize with ghosts, he would not let the vicious evil ghost go. This ghost has many other functions. Just like the ghost you encounter in the final selection, it can be used to temper others. That's it, Tanjiro said suddenly, and changed the topic to the final selection. Lizan, you disappeared after the final selection. I thought something had happened to you. Fortunately, those two girls followed me. Explained where you were going. With my strength, there is nothing to worry about. Lizan boasted jokingly. Tanjiro nodded seriously, indeed. Gradually, the two of them walked to the udon shop. Woo! When Nezuko saw her brother and Lizan arriving, she screamed with surprise and joy. Very energetic. Lizan touched Nezuko's head and spoke gently. Nezuko meekly lowered her head and accepted the touch. Nezuko really misses you, Lizan. Tanjiro smiled. In Nezuko's impression, the last time she met Lizan was at the ancestral hall, and she never saw him again after he woke up from a drowsy state. In addition, his brother kept talking about Lizan these days, and he couldn't help but miss him a little. Let me touch my brother too. After Lizan touched his head, Tanjiro also moved closer to touch Nezuko's head. But Nezuko groaned and moved her head away to prevent Tanjiro from touching her. Suddenly, Tanjiro was petrified. Is it your fault that you left her behind? Lizan said with a smile as he watched the interaction between the two. I'm sorry, Nezuko, for leaving you alone. Tanjiro said quickly to Nezuko. HMPH. Nezuko happily patted her brother's head, indicating that she had forgiven him. Hey, don't you want to eat udon? At this time, a bald boss appeared in the udon shop. It's you, the bald boss exclaimed the moment he saw Tanjiro. He ran out of the store and said to Tanjiro in a fierce voice, you are the guy who left my udon noodles just now. I will pay, Tanjiro said quickly. What I care about is not money, but udon. It's you who didn't eat my udon. And you. One is biting a bamboo. The other is carrying a sack. Put them down for me. Eat udon. As the bald boss spoke, he spread the word to Nezuko and Lizan. Then bring me a bowl. Lizan smiled. Although it hasn't been long since I finished eating, it's not a problem to eat more. Give me 2 bowls, boss. In order to prevent Nezuko from picking the bamboo, Tanjiro stood up in time and said powerfully. Okay. The boss was startled and went back to the store to cook a few bowls of udon noodles. Lizan ate the noodles slowly, but Tanjiro finished 2 bowls in a few clicks. He looks very hungry. Let's cook him 2 more bowls. Lizan suggested to the boss. Good. Tanjiro was dumbfounded when he saw the 2 steaming bowls of udon noodles that were soon brought to him. ... I can't eat any more. Tanjiro was holding on to his round belly, as if he had turned into a Q-shaped figure, and was being supported by Nezuko as he walked staggeringly. So you still can't eat too much at once? Lizan said with a smile. Tanjiro was too full to reply. At this time, the green-haired Yushiro suddenly appeared from the roadside. Isn't that woman a ghost? I didn't expect you to come to pick up this ugly. Before he finished speaking, Lizan glanced at him sharply, causing him to choke on his next words. It's strange why I am a little afraid of this person. Yushiro could only blame the fact that the person in front of him was not affected by Miss Tamayo's blood ghost technique. Come on, take us to Miss Tamayo. Seeing that the scene had cooled down, Lizan took the initiative to speak. Yushiro nodded subconsciously. Then lead the way. There was almost no conversation among the group of people on the road. Tanjiro was too full to walk and couldn't say much. Nezuko was busy supporting and taking care of her brother. Yushiro didn't want to talk, and Lizan had nothing to say. Not long after, several people came to a wall. Yushiro approached the wall and slowly walked into the wall. Tanjiro and Nezuko were both a little surprised. Lizan understood that this was Yushiro's blood ghost technique, used to hide his and Tamayo's residence. After all, Tamayo betrayed Muzan after all, so he should be careful. He followed Yushiro and walked in directly, followed closely by Tanjiro and Nezuko. 2 people and 1 ghost follow Yushiro's footsteps and arrive outside a house. Yushiro knocked on the door twice. Please come in. Tamayo's voice came from inside. I came back with them. Welcome back. Inside the house, a bitten woman was lying unconscious on the bed, and Tamayo was treating her wounds. That woman was the wife of an unlucky passerby who was chosen by Wuhan to become a ghost. Because he was bitten, he brought it back for treatment. The unlucky passerby who turned into a ghost is fine and full of energy. He just lost his mind because of his thirst for flesh and blood and is now locked in the dungeon. I'm sorry, I just left it to you, madam. Tanjiro, who had recovered, stepped forward and said with concern. This one is fine. Tamayo finished treating the wound and covered the woman with a quilt. But I'm very sorry. We tied up her husband and put him in the dungeon. Wouldn't it be uncomfortable to treat someone's wounds? Tanjiro asked. Hearing this, Lizan knocked Tanjiro on the head. They are not ordinary ghosts. They should survive on human blood. Lizan said. How did you know? Yushiro looked at Lizan in surprise. Lizan pointed to his nose. I can smell it. My nose is very good. I can't smell the obvious stench of eating flesh from you. Hearing Lizan's words, Tanjiro shrugged his nose seriously, and then he really realized something was wrong. Although the two people in front of him also smelled like ghosts, they did not have the special odor carried by other ghosts. Is that so? Tamayo whispered. She had lived for so long, and it was not that she had never seen anyone with a sharp nose, but she had never seen one with such a sharp nose, but she did not struggle too much on this issue. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.